yepi Amita pendwa ya vintu ifisume vyote bula kuibukisha Anate pochimo Wimbo watemenu wakatongi Awazunga watita katongi Nagula kuibukisha kateka Kaibuku muna kapona Neseko siove pameso Yangu ama umemaya Iyaba ume Iyaba ume
Kateka wabantu Twakulila lelo twakulila Shikakukonke milimo shove Ale filamba Fiena minta pengo sile Eti kume mo pulo dolole avale Lilo wengi
Iseko wengi mwakwete Iseko wengi mwakwete Mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
Katushi muchi mokege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatuja tuleli lake Mupangana chiba
Penda Upanga mwine Oya mwine Ide lalila
Yangu ya mama Ala nacho mwabye Mama Good day and welcome to today's broadcast, Tuesday, the 5th of August 2025. Today we are privileged to host Honorable Given Lubinda. Is the acting president of the Patriotic Front, is literally anchored this party from 2021 when the Patriotic Front lost elections. The president then of the party and of the country handed over power to President Hakainde Hichilema. He also went on sabbatical leave and handed over the reins of the party to Honorable Given Lubinda. Honorable Given Lubinda has been at the center of leading the Patriotic Front, the Central Committee and the party at large, and he's been at the center of this storm that has affected the party since then. We will also talk about the role of the Patriotic Front in Tonse Alliance, in UKA Alliance, and also the role of the party generally in bringing together the opposition to be a united front against the UPND. Honorable Given Lubinda is currently in South Africa. He's mourning with the family. You are aware that there was a matter in court yesterday, which we discussed extensively with the lawyer and family spokesperson, Honorable Makebi Zulu. Honorable Given Lubinda is in South Africa to provide solidarity on behalf of the party with other senior members. Honorable Lubinda, welcome to today's broadcast.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you for having me on your program, and good evening, viewers. I did watch yesterday's interaction that you had with Councillor Makebi Zulu, and I subscribe to what he said about the funeral and the court hearing that took place yesterday here in Pretoria?
You are in Pretoria not as a tourist, but to mourn and to stand with the family during this difficult period. You are credited with having provided leadership. As soon as the late president died, there was total silence from government. And by the way, today, 5th of August, marks 60 days, 2 months exactly, since we lost the president. When the late president died, it took almost 8 hours for the announcement to be done, because it took upon the family, Tasila, supported by her husband, Mr. Mwansa, to break the announcement. Yet the late president had died as early as around 06. And as we have seen from public statements by the president, he knew about the death of the late president as soon as he died, according to what he has said publicly. But government stayed silent for 8 hours. And finally, when the announcement was made, there was nowhere for people to gather. You provided leadership and you asked people to gather at the secretariat. It was many days later before Belvedere could be opened. It was actually 7 days later when President Hakainde Hichilema could speak to the late president. So just walk us back to this crisis and where we are. And just the unfortunate state Zambia seems to be at a standstill because of this matter.
You put it very, very accurately, Ambassador. We heard the rumor as early as 7 hours on that fateful Thursday morning, the 5th of June. And I was shocked like everybody, and I was praying that that was going to end up as a rude joke. I decided to leave my residence to go and join with other members of the Patriotic Front to wait for what was not to be. We were waiting to be told that this was just one of those cruel jokes. By 11 on the 5th of June, this, which I hoped would be a joke, was confirmed to have been the truth. After that, we waited to hear the state do what it is expected to do when such an eventuality occurs. Some people called me and asked whether this information had been confirmed. I still tried very hard to play ignorant until somebody from the state called me and said, "Can you please announce that your president has passed on?" And I said I had no authority whatsoever. It was not up to me to announce such an important piece of information to the country. Because as you are well aware, Ambassador, the announcement of an incumbent head of state is always announced by the vice president. The passing of a former president in the Republic of Zambia has always been announced by the head of state. If not by the head of state, then by a senior government official designated to do so by the head of state directly. I therefore found that it was not appropriate for me to announce. And like you said, we waited, Ambassador. As for us, we waited from 6 in the morning when we got the rumor. From 9 when the information was confirmed, we waited until 15 hours, 15:30 to be precise, when unexpectedly and in a very bewildering manner, the one who was announcing the passing of a former head of state was not a government official. It was not the head of state. No, it was his dear daughter. That, for me, was not acceptable at all. I did not expect that the former head of state's demise would be reduced to a family affair, because the demise of a former head of state is a national matter. It is a matter of national security, as a matter of fact. And yet to see that the family were forced by circumstances, the circumstance of the decision by government to remain mute over this matter. That to me was the start of this very diabolical journey of 60 days without putting the remains of a former head of state where they belong. Now, after that, I had no choice, Ambassador. As acting president of the bigger family to which President Edgar Lungu belonged, the Patriotic Front, I had no option but to provide leadership to members of the party. I immediately convened an urgent National Executive Committee meeting where the news was broken to those who managed to attend. And my colleagues and I agreed that we had to inform members of the party across the country and wherever else in diaspora there would be about the passing of their dear president. That is how, Ambassador, I went ahead to announce in the evening of the 5th of June. What followed, Ambassador, was quite amazing. On the 6th of June, round about 18 hours, I got a phone call from a senior government official who asked me if I could go to Cabinet Office to go and have a meeting. When I asked what this meeting was about, I was told that it was to be a discussion on the passing of the former president of the Patriotic Front. My question to him was, why me? Why all of a sudden did they want to recognize me as being acting president of the Patriotic Front? Because ever since that coup, that bloodless coup that occurred on the 24th of October 2023, the state had not even wanted to acknowledge that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was president of the PF. And they did not want to acknowledge me as vice president of the Patriotic Front. So I asked them why all of a sudden they thought they could discuss this with me. I objected and I said to them, can you go and discuss this matter with the one that President Hakainde recognizes as being president of the Patriotic Front? And by that time, the one who they were recognizing was Robert Chavinga. However, in further thought, I decided I was going to ask some elders of the party to go and intervene, to listen to them, to hear what they were trying to say to us about the passing of our president. Unfortunately, that meeting was not to be. We therefore moved on and decided that all members of the Patriotic Front were to gather at all our offices in the provinces, at all our offices in the districts, and also at our headquarters in Lusaka. We announced, the Patriotic Front through me announced, that the places where people would gather and mourn the passing of the former president of the Republic of Zambia, who was also president of the Patriotic Front, would be at our designated official offices. I want to take opportunity of your interview, Ambassador, to thank my fellow leaders, to thank all the leaders of the Patriotic Front, to thank all members of the Patriotic Front, because they conducted themselves in a very exemplary manner. They gathered in homes, they gathered in offices of the Patriotic Front, and they provided for themselves. It was only after a number of days when we heard the Secretary to the Cabinet, in the name of Patrick Kangwa, on Saturday, if my memory serves me right, on Saturday evening, Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa went to the press, not the head of state, but the Secretary to Cabinet, and in a very unofficial setting. There was no national flag that was on the table of that discussion, that public announcement. There was no national flag. There was no national emblem. It was a totally informal press briefing where Patrick Kangwa said, His Excellency the President Hakainde Hichilema has decided to honor the former president Edgar Chagwa Lungu with a 7 days national mourning in recognition of the immense contribution he made to Zambia. When I heard that, I got very, very disturbed. And I'm sure many Zambians joined me in suffering that pain. The pain that was induced in us by Hakainde Hichilema, President of Zambia, through his Secretary to Cabinet, to claim that the 7 days of national mourning were an honor and that they were being granted to President Edgar Chagwa Lungu as though he did not deserve it. And to say it was in recognition of his immense contribution to Zambia. I felt that to have been a slight on the position that President Edgar Chagwa Lungu had as the 6th Republican president. Because that is not an honor, that is an entitlement. When a minister in Zambia dies, cabinet has no choice but to declare at least 1 day of national mourning. And when the president dies, it's not as though they are being done a favor. And I felt that that statement in itself was a slight. It was totally inappropriate. And then we were told that people would gather at Belvedere Lodge, Government Belvedere Lodge, and that would be the official mourning place for His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Like I said, by that time, Ambassador, the Patriotic Front leadership had already agreed that all members of the Patriotic Front would gather at PF offices. And as for those in the capital city, Lusaka, they would gather at the PF Secretariat. When the announcement was made by Patrick Kangwa that the government Belvedere Lodge would be the official place for mourning, we encouraged people. We said those who want can go and gather at Belvedere. However, we did not find it appropriate to tell our people to leave our National Secretariat. We asked them to continue to gather at the PF Secretariat. And now allow me to thank all those, our friends, our supporters, who came out to us to render to us material, financial, and moral support. They did a good job, and we managed to at our party headquarters and also the district offices across the country. As things would unfold, Ambassador Mwamba, we heard that the family had been met by government representatives and that there was an agreement that had been arrived at, which was that the remains, the mortal remains of our dear president would be repatriated to Lusaka. And that in that agreement, it was agreed that members of the Patriotic Front would be at hand at the airport to receive the remains of our dear departed president. And that after that, the remains, the mortal remains, would be driven to the residence of the former president, of this president, and that the mortal remains would be escorted by his ADC, his security, and his doctor, and that no other person from the state would be allowed to accompany the body. Then we heard that the road leading to the residence of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was being repaired. And we wondered what was the reason for this. Why were they ripping off the road on a day when we were expecting the cortege to take the remains of the president to his residence. We protested, and they said they would stop the work, they would store the work until after burial. And on the material day, I asked members of the party, senior leaders of the party, to go to the airport, to go and see whether the list that we had supplied to cabinet, the list of all members of the Central Committee, all our provincial members, and all members of the Tonsi Alliance, whom we said would be on the apron to receive the remains of our dear president, was at the airport. My colleagues went there and phoned and said the sentries that were posted there were saying that that list had not been handed over to them by Secretary to Cabinet. Only to come and hear that, as a matter of fact, there were people printing T-shirts bearing the portrait of our president in thousands. And we wondered who are printing them. If there's any person who had the authority to print our T-shirts, they would not do it without informing the leadership of the PF. We therefore realized that this was something clandestine and this was meant for mischief. The family fortunately also got wind of this, but they also got wind of the fact that the program that had been agreed upon initially was vitiated, and that now there was going to be a private church ceremony at the airport. I'd like your viewers to know that the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport does not have a church. It does not have any place designated as a place of prayer. So people got surprised. Where is this church service going to be conducted? And who is going to preside over it? And information filtered through to the family that the decision that the family had arrived at, that the body of the remains of His Excellency President Edgar Chagwa Lungu would be made to go to Mulungushi International Conference Center, and that the family would be the first to view the body, that too was vitiated, and that the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, would be the first to view the body. Based on that and many other reasons which the family is capable of addressing, they decided that they would not allow for the mortal remains of President Edgar Lungu to go to Lusaka. And that is what has brought this diabolical impasse, where now the state is fighting with the family on the ownership of the mortal remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. I listened very carefully to the submissions yesterday, and I also read the submissions by the state, and I also read the submissions by the in court. And I have to say, Makebi Zulu did a fantastic job, and we in the Patriotic Front are very, very proud of his performance. He did a sterling job in all the submissions that were made to the court, because there is no law in Zambia that prescribes how a former head of state shall be buried. And this is only a matter that the state is trying to push purely because of precedence. And there is also an argument, Ambassador, which I'm sure a lot of your viewers have heard about, that a similar event occurred after the demise of the founding president of the Republic of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And this argument has been presented by Muliro Kabesha on behalf of the government of Zambia. What he is failing to acknowledge is that at that time, President Kenneth Kaunda was still enjoying the benefits of former head of state, number one. Number two, there had already been an agreement between the government and the larger part of the Kenneth Kaunda family. There was only one son of Kenneth David Kaunda who had a different view. it cannot be compared to the current situation where the whole family of Edgar Chagwa Lungu has said no. Under these strange circumstances where there is insistence that there will be a private church function which may exclude us members of the family and may exclude his friends in the Patriotic Front and may also lead to the mortal remains of the president being handled by other people except those that have been designated by the family. That is a big difference. And people must not confuse the two and say because there was a court matter over President Kaunda, therefore it also follows that the government has a right to sue the family over the mortal remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. What has to be remembered, my dear ambassador, is that we're talking about a president who was denied the privilege of enjoying his own development. President Edgar Chagwa Lungu built markets throughout Zambia. And yet, in his retirement,
before you go there, thank you very much, and thank you for the quick update to our audience. The decision to bury the late president in South Africa has attracted controversy, has attracted concerns. The standoff between Zambia's head of state, President Hakainde Hichilema, and the family is also a matter of serious concern to the extent that President Cyril Ramaphosa had to send his Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ronald Lamola, to Zambia to explain that the standoff, probably they wish that it could be resolved, but in the event that the family made a decision to put to rest the late president in South Africa, that there was nothing they could do because that was the law, that was the precedent. Many high cases like this, except that they were not president, like the case of the general in Angola, where the two states found themselves in similar circumstances, the court favored the family. President of Zimbabwe, President Emerson Mnangagwa, who was a classmate of President Edgar Lungu, took it very personal. He even sent his vice president to attempt to resolve this matter. You saw the images at State House. President Hakainde Hichilema literally dismissed, said this was a matter between him and the family, and it was a Zambian affair, and it will be resolved. President Jacob Zuma, the former president, was denied landing rights in the quest to resolve this issue. And of course, many circumstances that led to Hichilema abruptly cancelling the period of national mourning that was supposed to go up to 23rd of June, and he abruptly cancelled it on the 19th. We are a ridicule in the region. Clearly, friends of Zambia, friends of Edgar Lungu, friends of President Hakainde Hichilema have attempted to resolve this issue. I shouldn't even forget about the Malawian president, a former Malawian president, Bakili Muluzi, and his son, who have also been very instrumental in trying to resolve this issue. We even are aware of the former president in Tanzania. Why hasn't President Hakainde Hichilema helped resolve this matter? Why has instead sued the widow and the family? What is your reflection?
Ambassador, thank you for what you've just said now. And indeed, we ought to pay gratitude to all current and former statesmen and women in the region for their intercession. They were doing that because their desire was that Zambia should continue to maintain its integrity as a country. And we owe them gratitude. And on behalf of the Patriotic Front, I thank them most sincerely for their efforts. Yes, Zambia indeed now is standing as a laughingstock not only in the region, but globally. Because now everybody who is following this matter is wondering how a people, through their government, can subject a poor woman, a widow, to mourning for more than 60 days. How a government can use its machinery to subject a family to come to a standstill in their lives because of the desire by the government to have access to the mortal remains of a former president. And when I say government, I am being too general, because I don't think that there's ever been a meeting in Zambia where government officials, civil servants, and the three wings of government, including parliament, sat to demand that the mortal remains of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu must be buried in Lusaka. The desire, as far as I can see, is the desire by one person, President Hakainde Hichilema. Should people be subjected to 60 days of mourning simply because one man has this insatiable appetite to cause pain in others? Because for me, and for many other people who are following this matter, the only reason why this matter has not been put to bed is because somebody is enjoying the suffering of the others. And we have to ask ourselves a question, Ambassador. We have to ask ourselves a question. The family was willing to repatriate the body. The family had agreed that President Hakainde would be allowed to superintend over the visitors, the dignitaries. But they said President Edgar Chagwa Lungu himself made a wish, a death wish, that because of the amount of pain, because of the amount of suffering that Hakainde Hichilema has made me go through, I would not like him to be at my burial. I would not like him to come and say anything, because if he comes there and says good things about me, it will be an act of hypocrisy. And when the family said, as long as you don't come and speak, as long as your government doesn't come to speak, we will allow you to come and bury our dear president at Embassy Park. Then they themselves as government decided, no, President Hakainde must go and have a church service at the airport, a church service which hadn't been agreed upon by the family. Doesn't it make sense? Didn't it make sense when the family said, in that case, please don't force us, we shall bury the mortal remains of our dear father, our dear husband, our dear brother, where we want to bury him, where you will not have access. What is the issue with that? And to just correct you, Ambassador, much as the official documents in court are saying that the first respondent is the widow, and the second to the sixth respondents are family members, and the seventh is the family spokesperson who happens to be lawyer Makebi Zulu. The truth of the matter is that the one who was indicted is Edgar Chagwa Lungu. The one who, as far as I'm concerned, is in court today is Edgar Chagwa Lungu. And that is the reason why his mortal remain uninterred. They remain unburied to this day. Now, how can a country sink so low as to keep the remains of its former president uninterred purely because one man wants to be there to superintend, to preside over the burial of his predecessor? It is totally unexplainable. I wonder whether there is anybody who has an explanation. As for me and others, we have wrecked our minds to try and understand what is it that President Hakainde wants out of this burial. What is it? Because if he was to just say, I'm staying away from the burial, there would be no problem. And Ambassador, you know very well, there are many examples we can cite in the region. Here in South Africa, not too long ago, the former vice president departed, and the family decided the burial shall be a private affair. The government did not insist. They buried their former president. It is now a matter of history. Remember what also happened when President Robert Mugabe died. Madam Mugabe said they did not want President Mnangagwa to go to the burial. President Mnangagwa said, I will oblige. I will only stand at the airport to receive the mortal remains of my predecessor. After that, I'll have nothing to do with the burial. But as head of state, I will facilitate for the burial of a former head of state. The burial took place without any hullabaloo, without any such drama. What is it that has befallen my dear country? To the extent that the mortal remains of a man suffered for the country could remain in the morgue, could remain in the freezer for 60 days. And I'd like to remind your viewers, Ambassador, I was saying to you that President Edgar Lungu superintended over the development of a lot of infrastructure facilities in Zambia. I was talking about markets. He built several markets across the breadth and width of Zambia. And yet, in his retirement, when he went to a market, he was stopped by the police. He contributed to the building and strengthening of the Christian faith. He was loved by people of church. He was invited to various churches, and yet the government was stopping him even to go into church. He is the one who superintended over the completion of the construction of the Kenneth Kaunda International Airport. The Zambia Airways 2014 came about during the time when Edgar Chagwa Lungu was Minister of Justice. And as president, he ensured that Zambia Airways 2014 would operate as a viable business. And yet, President Edgar Lungu was not allowed to go and use that airport. He was not allowed to board Zambia Airways 2014. President Edgar Lungu paved roads across the country. And yet the poor man, in his retirement, even jogging was prohibited. He was not allowed to jog. President Edgar Lungu was invited to a peace conference in South Korea. And I went ahead of him. The two of us were invited. I went ahead of him as his vice president, only to be shocked to be told 2 days later that your dear president has boarded off a plane. How did anyone expect President Edgar Lungu to behave? When President Edgar Lungu requested in 2022, he informed government, I have a condition which has been attended to by doctors in South Africa. Please permit me to go and meet my doctors. Secretary to Cabinet or Deputy Secretary to Cabinet wrote to him saying, sorry, the government does not have money. He responded and said, please facilitate for me to go. I will get money from friends and family. And as you saw in the response by Muliro Kabesha in court, he said they stopped him from going to South Korea because they feared that he was going to politic. They stopped him to go to church because they feared that he was going to politic. They stopped him from jogging because they feared he was going to politic. They stopped him even to come to South Africa to have medical attention. He did not disclose the ailment, the condition he had. And when you hear this being a submission of a government to a court of law, you even wonder, what kind of justice system do we have? Because everybody knows that the health condition of an individual is a private matter. Why did they expect President Edgar Lungu to say to them, this is my condition? And yet, as a matter of fact, as you and I, Ambassador, and as many viewers of yours will know, as former head of state, his health file is in the possession of government. So they knew what his condition was.
Yeah.
And all this was happening to this poor man. And they expected, how did they expect?
This case is very similar to what happened in Ghana. And I'm glad that there has been public announcement to the effect that one day the remains of the late president will lie in Zambia. You know, when Kwame Nkrumah, the first president of the Republic of Ghana, died in Bucharest in Romania on 27th April 1972. Remember, there was a coup against him and there was a hostile government against him. It was decided that he would be buried in Guinea. President Sekou Toure then offered to bury the late president in Guinea. And for 20 years, the remains of Kwame Nkrumah lay in Guinea. It was only later, when there was a friendly government, that there was a negotiation between the family, the government of Ghana, and the government of Guinea, that the remains were now taken to Ghana. They were initially buried at his hometown. But again, I think a few years later, it was decided that he should be brought to the National Monument, where a mausoleum was created for him. He was buried 3 times. The family has said one day the remains of the late president will come to Zambia. Let us go to the other issues. The state of the Patriotic Front, it is of great worry. The late president went on leave, I think, shortly after swearing in of President Hakainde Hichilema. The reins were handed over to you to run the party, the Central Committee, and you began even a succession process. You even, as a party, identified candidates who should have stood. That process was rudely disrupted, and we are where we are now, where you have imposters holding to the legal reins of the party. Just speak to this matter.
Before I move to that, let me just reaffirm what you just said and reaffirm the position of the family. That President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was a very special president. Special in the sense that even when the odds were against him, even when people advised him that going to the Heroes Stadium to hand over power to President Edgar Chagwa Lungu was not going to be a pleasant affair, he still stood tall. He invited a number of us. I recall there was Professor Nkanduluo, there was Madam Sylvia Charlie-Kosa, there was Madam Jean Kapata, and I happened to have been privileged to have been among them. We went to that stadium in the company of his daughter. We went to that stadium. And when President Edgar Lungu was handing over the instruments of power, President Hakainde received them. Instead, he called a private fellow, private security man of his, to receive the instruments of power, which is not done, by the way, because the instruments of power are passed from the former president to the incoming president, from the outgoing president to the incoming president. In this particular case, the one who received the instruments of power was not the president, it was his security guard. And spontaneously, there was booing and jeering. And booing and jeering by who? Obviously the stadium, 60,000-seater stadium, was filled by supporters of the current president. And he did not as much as just raise a finger to say, please, this is a former head of state. He has handed power to me in a highly dignified manner. Instead, he enjoyed that showing of hate by the 60,000 people who were in that stadium. You would have expected President Edgar Lungu to bow his head. He didn't. He walked with dignity. And when we got where we went after that, he said to us, my dear friends, I have done what I was supposed to have done, and my soul is at peace. Even when he was tormented, President Edgar Lungu still stood tall. And I have to remind the Zambian people and all those who are watching us that at the time when President Edgar Lungu decided that he was going to give away the trappings of former head of state, he was doing it for his love for his country. He had so much love for Zambia's democracy. When he saw that his Patriotic Front Party was being decimated, when he realized that democracy in Zambia was being challenged, when he realized that the freedoms that our forebears suffered for and died for were being challenged by Hakainde Hichilema, he decided, I cannot continue to be quiet. I cannot continue to enjoy the trappings of being former head of state. Rather, I'm divorcing myself from being given all these benefits, if that be the case, because I want to fight for Zambia's democracy. He therefore died, not only for his dear family, he died for Zambia. And because he died for Zambia, I can say today with no fear of contradiction that there shall come a when the mortal remains of that great man shall grace his dear country. In the event that the court in South Africa do as the family have requested, there certainly will be a day when that great man shall be taken to rest in the country for which he died, the country that he so much loved. As far as we in the Patriotic Front are concerned, we say to the family, and we said amongst ourselves, that all we're looking for is temporary shelter for the mortal remains of our dear president, not for his final resting place, because that has to be in his dear country, because he fought for that country. He fought for its democracy. He died in pursuit of the democracy of Zambia. And that democracy is the vision that drives all of us in the Patriotic Front. And indeed, coming to your question, when President Edgar Lungu stepped aside after the elections of 2021, he said to me, in the presence of my colleagues, the ones whose names I've mentioned, he said, I have run my race. I will not continue. I would like you, my colleagues, to continue where I have left. And he turned to me and said, my brother, I know you told me in 2019 that you are retiring from politics, and that's why you did not even contest as Member of Parliament. However, I request you, may you hold the fort, lead the party. And I said to him, Your Excellency, this is an enormous task you're giving to me. And he said, I trust you. Lead the party. And yes, Ambassador, it hasn't been an easy journey. But I have to say here, it has been a journey where I have had and received, happily so, a lot of support from my colleagues in the Central Committee, from all leaders in different structures of the party. They have stood by me. I have not done it by myself, and I cannot credit myself for what we have done because we have done it together. I also ought to say that once in a while, I picked up the phone to consult my elder brother. Guide me. What should I do? Oftentimes he would say to me, learn the ropes. But there were also times when he came out to me and told me, my brother, this is what I suggest you do. So this journey, Ambassador, has not been a journey for an individual. This has been a journey for the party. And I'm determined to be a part of this team. And I'm sure that as a team, we will get to where President Edgar Chagwa Lungu wanted us to get, and that is to ensure that in 2026 we restore the democracy of Zambia. President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, being a keen follower of democracy and a promoter of democracy and a promoter of national unity, even when he was in retirement, he kept urging us in the Patriotic Front not to look upon ourselves as an end unto ourselves, but as a means to uniting the country. And he encouraged all of us to unite with other opposition political parties. The message he delivered to the Zambian people on the 28th of October 2023, when he returned to active politics, he said he was coming back to active politics, and he called upon all other political party leaders of different opposition political parties to come together, to unite with one purpose and one purpose only: to provide a democratic government that would ensure that Zambians enjoy their freedoms. That is what that man endeavored to achieve for his people, for his dear country. And we in the Patriotic Front are determined to do that one thing: to unite as a party and to unite as opposition political parties with only one vision in mind: to provide to the Zambian people an environment in which they can be happy, an environment in which they can call
Acting President,
Zambia as their country.
Yeah, Acting President, the current status of the Patriotic Front is in peril. Like I stated, the registered owners is, like I said, imposters, Robert Chavinga, against the law, against the constitution. The Electoral Commission of Zambia has disenfranchised the Patriotic Front from participating in by-elections. Your members of parliament have not been spared, despite strong leadership by Brian Mundubile at parliament. There's been chaos where you've lost over, I think, 6 seats, unfortunately, and the leadership at parliament, which the party had placed on, led by Brian Mundubile, has been removed. The people are worried. You have an enormous task as a Patriotic Front to participate in elections, to help build a strong opposition, to help prepare the country to go to elections and wrestle power from President Hakainde Hichilema. Yet the party that's supposed to be an engine, the fulcrum of this development, lies in tatters. Just give us reflections about that.
To say that the Patriotic Front lies in tatters is to give undue credit to Hakainde Hichilema. Indeed, Hakainde Hichilema's intention by assisting the coup that occurred on the 24th of October 2023 was to decimate the Patriotic Front. Even when Miles Sampa, who was the kingpin of that coup, recollected his senses and came back to the party and declared that that coup must be invalidated, and that whatever was an outcome of that coup or so-called convention must be nullified, we saw that the Registrar of Societies decided they will not amend the list of office bearers. Instead, they continued to recognize Robert Chavinga and Ngonga, who, as a matter of fact, were a product of the illegal coup, the legal convention. And all this has happened because Hakainde has realized that he did not manage to achieve his objective of taking the Patriotic Front into obliteration. The Patriotic Front is not a piece of paper. The Patriotic Front, Ambassador, is not the register at the Registrar of Society's office. No. The Patriotic Front is a spirit. The Patriotic Front are the people themselves. The people who hold legitimate positions right from the sections across the country, through branches, wards, constituencies, districts, provinces, and members of the Central Committee. Those are the Patriotic Front. Yes, we saw how quickly the UPND delegates at the Electoral Commission of Zambia decided to come up with an obnoxious regulation which has never ever existed in Zambia. It's an unprecedented regulation which requires that for any political party to participate in any national elections, the adoption certificates of the candidates in that election must be signed by a president and a secretary general, and that the Electoral Commission would go and compare the names with the names at the Registrar of Society's office. Never has that happened, never. We knew that they were doing that because they were targeting the Patriotic Front. And you may recall, and your viewers may recall, that for 1 year, the Patriotic Front did not take part in any elections. And that was because of that regulation that was introduced by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. We sat back and we said, we cannot continue to deny the Zambian people credible opposition. We cannot allow the Zambian people to go to the polls, be there by elections without formidable opposition. We decided to join hands with our colleagues in UCA and later on in the Tonse Alliance. And in the Tonse Alliance, we sat and agreed that we're going to use a special purpose vehicle to participate in elections. And ever since then, we've been participating in all the by-elections. The Patriotic Front is alive and it is participating in these elections. Now, little wonder when you saw that in the recent by-elections, which are going to go to the polls on the 7th of August, the ECZ changed their position and said, besides ensuring that only the presidents and secretary general of the political parties will sign the adoption certificates, now even the regalia, the campaign materials of a political party that is not on the ballot paper will not be allowed. Now, this is going against the principle of freedom of expression. I can go to a by-election where I don't have a particular candidate from my party, but I can go and support a candidate of another political party. Nobody can stop me. And if I go there donning campaign material of my political party, it is not an offense. There is no such law in Zambia. And the reason they're doing that is because the ECZ, on behalf of Hakainde Hichilema, are scared stiff. Just the regalia of the Patriotic Front, particularly the regalia having the portrait of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. I have said before, and I'll say again, they feared him in his life. They fear him more in his death. And I want to assure Zambians, the portrait of Edgar Chagwa Lungu shall continue to haunt them, and we in the Patriotic Front shall continue to use it.
Indeed, Acting President, the Patriotic Front is in the hearts of people, not on a illegal paper held by an expelled MP from Mafinga. My dear cousins in Mafinga are also annoyed with their MP. Let us go to the current state of our country. I think, like we described what is happening to the PF, the people of Zambia had chosen President Hakainde Hichilema to replace President Edgar Lungu. President Hakainde Hichilema presented himself as a Mr. Fixer, that he was going to resolve the crisis of the country, the cost of living crisis. He said he was going to reduce the prices of foodstuffs, fuel, electricity, and other things. He said he will not allow borrowings and there'll be a moratorium on debt. He said he will respect human rights and there'll be rights and freedoms in the country. He has done the opposite. We are now being quoted that we have descended to a tyranny and a dictatorship. The cost of living crisis is actually even treble than it was at 2021. He said he would not borrow. He accused you of borrowing a lot of loans, accumulating a lot of loans. He has also now hugely borrowed up to $4 billion in foreign loans, and he has ballooned the local debt from 178 billion kwacha to 236 billion kwacha. In every parameter, he's abusing human rights. And it's not you or me saying it. He's being cited in respected national documents, Human Rights Watch, the United Nations Human Rights Council, the US country report that is killing, is engaged in extrajudicial killings, that he has stifled freedom of expression, that is implementing literally a tyranny with the passing of archaic and repressive laws. He has shut down freedom of expression in our country. Yet he preaches to the people that he has succeeded, that he has CDF and people are roaming freely in markets. Just speak to the state of the country right now.
You put it very well. And I'd like to start by talking about Parliament. And Parliament, because that is the epitome of the exercise of freedom of expression. That is the epitome of the practice of democracy in any democratic state. Let's take a little review of the performance of Parliament. In 4 years, your government has managed to ostracize 7 members of Parliament, all of them from the opposition. Your Parliament has had one of among itself abducted, left for dead, taken to a hospital, allowed to leave that hospital in very strange circumstances, and being away from the public eye. And yet your government gives it a blind eye, and your government decides to call by-elections rapidly to replace that member without showing any interest in trying to trace where one of its members of Parliament is. Your government decided to go against the court in the matter of Malanji, Joseph Malanji, and Lusambo concerning the elections in their constituencies. Even when the Constitutional Court decided that those elections were illegal, your government under Hakainde Hichilema went ahead and held elections, and even celebrate today that the people of Kabushi and Kwa elected members of Parliament. And yet the truth of the matter was that there was a protest in those 2 constituencies. Today, you have a Parliament where a member of Parliament is indicted and convicted for what they say in Parliament. Where is the principle of exclusive cognizance for Parliament? Worldwide, what members of Parliament say in Parliament enjoys immunity under the principle of exclusive cognizance. And yet a parliamentarian, by stating that he suspected that some people had received bribes, that member of Parliament today is incarcerated. Another member of Parliament was incarcerated, a seat declared vacant, notwithstanding the fact that that member of Parliament appealed their conviction. This member of Parliament was simply asking, in response to a statement that was made by a person who said, if Edgar Chagwa Lungu comes to our region, we shall kill him. And this member of parliament simply asked, is this the country we shall lead? Is this the country we shall have, where people are scared to go to visit certain regions? Should we all carry arms? That member of parliament was convicted. She appealed her conviction and is yet to appear in court. Meanwhile, her seat was declared vacant and an election declared. 2 members of parliament, one of them, unfortunately, a lame man, was convicted. A member of parliament convicted for arson. And people stated that after he committed arson, he ran away and he couldn't be apprehended by witnesses. A lame man, a man who can't even run, he can hardly walk. Another one was convicted because somebody said he bought grass, and yet he was 100 kilometers away from the scene of arson. But simply because somebody said yes, he was seen buying dry grass, which grass was meant for thatching a house. Just for that, he was convicted. Now, when you have a country in which the security of tenure of members of parliament is under constant threat, where 7 members of parliament have their seats declared vacant in a space of 4 years, where members of parliament, when they stand to defend the constitution, they are suspended, as the case occurred when members of parliament of the patriotic stood up in parliament in the defense of the constitution when government was about to pass a national budget using an old constitution, a repealed constitution. The budget was quoting a repealed constitution. And members stood up and said, if we proceed with this budget under the premise of the provision of a repealed constitution, anyone in the country can go to court and challenge the legality of this budget. Instead of parliament listening to those members of parliament and supporting them, they were punished. Members of parliament in Zambia, as far as I am concerned, and you remember, Ambassador, I'm not talking from without. I was privileged to have been elected 4 consecutive times by the good people of Kabwata constituency. I was in parliament representing them religiously for 20 years. I therefore have 2 years experience of being a parliamentarian, 10 of which years I was in the opposition, and therefore nobody can tell me about opposition politics in parliament. Never ever have we seen before a situation where members of parliament get into dialogue with a speaker. No. The presiding officers are presiding officers. They are arbiters to make sure that there is free debate across the political divide. And yet today, when a member of parliament stands up and they say, I want to ask a question to the minister, even before the minister is given an opportunity to answer, the presiding officer is preferring an answer. How? If indeed parliament is a neutral arbiter which allows the free flow and free exchange of policy ideas, parliamentarians representing different political parties, how come the presiding officers have answers on behalf of the executive? What this shows is that in Zambia, the executive is simply an appendage of the executive. Parliament is simply an appendage of the executive. But you can also extend this, Ambassador. You have heard how even the judiciary responds speedily to executive pronouncements. President Hakainde just wakes up one day and says, I want a fast-track court, the Economic and Financial Crimes Court, to be established. A few days later, the Chief Justice stands up and says, I have established this court. Establishing a division of the court, of the High Court, without following the due process of the law, simply because the president has pronounced his decree. In Zambia, Ambassador, we are being governed by decrees. We are not being governed by the principles of the separation of the three wings of government.
Thank
No.
you, President.
You just
Before
have to see,
Yeah.
when you talk about the promises, Ambassador, when you talk about the promises, I want to draw one small little example. President Hakainde, in the run-up to the elections, promised the Zambian people that when you vote for him, he will make sure that every Zambian has 3 square meals a day. Only a few months ago, he was in his own village, where he was advising his fellow villagers that please, when you have supper, the remains of food, don't throw that food. Instead, keep it and give it to your children in the morning. Why this departure? Why this 180-degree shift? He promised that every Zambian would have 3 square meals a day. And now he's saying, don't even feed dogs with the remains of supper. This is the reason why, Ambassador, when you go around the streets of Lusaka, you rarely see stray dogs because people are not keeping dogs anymore. They can't afford them. And the reason they can't afford them is because they were duped. Their president promised that you'll have excess food.
Yes,
Yes,
Acting
sir.
President. We'll be inviting callers shortly, and I hope that you can take some questions. But before I do that, the question of unity is becoming imperative. You've just immediately given us a broad picture of the state of the country. It's in dire strait. It's in a desperate state. People are saying they changed government in 2021 so that they could have a better life, better hope, and management of the affairs of the country better. They jumped from a pan into the fire. Things are worse. And now they are looking for leadership. Where is the leadership? The leadership is in the reservoir of you people in the opposition. But there it appears that everyone in the opposition is just pursuing their personal ambitions, their personal goals, and there doesn't seem to be very good unity that can inspire our people. Credit to President Edgar Lungu. He tried very hard personally to bring the opposition together. I remember the first press conference that was attended by over 11 political parties, including Dr. Fred Membe and Winter Kabimba. In the background was President Edgar Lungu trying hard to put the opposition together. There was the formation of the United Culture Alliance. Now there was later a breakaway called Tonse Alliance, which you lead as chair. And there appears to be turbulence. And some political parties are not even members of any opposition alliance. This is worrying to the people of Zambia. What are you doing about this? Is a united front the answer to the people of Zambia, or will we allow whoever wishes to stand on their right? Wouldn't it give advantage to President Hakainde Hichilema, who nearly the entire country is complaining about?
The country's voice is very clear. There is a clarion call from many Zambians that we in the opposition must unite. Unity of opposition political parties is an imperative. We ought to unite. In pursuing that unity, we also ought to ensure that we do this without leaving any political party behind. We're living in very interesting times, because even during the subsistence, even during the life of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, there was always this tussling for who shall be the leader. And selecting a leader for the opposition cannot be kids' play. It requires synergy of the various players. In trying to arrive at that synergy, we must accept that there will be points of departure. Some of these points of departure may be handled in a very subtle manner. Some of them may be handled in a friendly manner. But also we have to accept the fact that we, leaders of different political parties, have a diversity that is a representation of the country at large. There are also others whose expression of misgivings could appear divisive. Now, those of us who are committed to unity of purpose are called to higher moral ground. Are we going to discard people like that? No. Instead, let's give them time. Let us try to use methods to reach out to them so they can see our views in so much as we're trying to see their views, so that we can come to common ground. The one thing is that the majority of us know that we stand stronger when we're united. We accept the fact that what brings us together is stronger and bigger than what separates us, because we're into this not for ourselves, we are into this for the country. So yes, we shall have challenges, we shall have difficulties, but as long as we are willing to listen to one another, and as long as we commit ourselves to handling these matters without self being at the center, putting Zambia at the center, putting not only the current population of Zambia, but putting Zambia's future population in the microscope and saying, what is it that they deserve? We will certainly get there. And as for me, who was a close student of President Edgar Lungu, I know how much premium he attached to unity of purpose of opposition political parties. And I always call upon my colleagues in the Patriotic Front that we must not think that because we are the largest opposition political parties, therefore we can do this on our own. No, we only achieve this once we unite with those who are like-minded. But I also want to say, Ambassador, that we also ought to be cautious of the fact that we are facing what you yourself referred to as a tyrant, a man who would not give up power easily. He has already demonstrated his desire to decimate political parties. He tried with the PF. He also tried, by the way, with the United National Independence Party, the Independence Party of Zambia, the founding party of Zambia's democracy. He tried to destabilize UNIP. Fortunately, UNIP came over this matter quicker than us in the Patriotic Front. So there is also a possibility that even when we're pursuing the objective of opposition unity, there could be some people who are sponsored to come and destroy the very intentions that we have. And therefore we have to be very cautious. We have to tread carefully, because we may end up just pushing against a closed door for some people who may have been sponsored. As things stand now, I wouldn't point at any particular party, but just to say we are taking all these matters into consideration. Our purpose is to have unity of purpose, and that unity of purpose must be effective and sincere unity of purpose, pursuing the objective of providing alternative governance to the Zambian people.
Thank you, Acting President. I'll let you drink some water. I want you to quickly come back and then, interact with our callers. We have a lot of interest by our callers, and we give them adequate time to participate. That way, I think, is also an immediate feedback. So let me just take a break to allow you to drink water, and myself also to drink some water. Then callers, this is your show. We are privileged. We are hosting Acting President of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Given Lubinda. He's former Justice Minister, he's former Member of Parliament, record 20 years in Kawata. He's also the current chairperson of the Tonse Alliance, one of the grand alliances in the political space in Zambia. Participate. Let's hear your views. Let's hear your concerns. You can send voice note, you can text, and you can call.
This country was a one-party state for many years. And I see the faces in here. Many were young, they have no understanding what a one-party state meant or means. Maybe that's why the young generation must read a little bit so we can protect this democracy that we have. We had an election in 1988. The next election should have been 1993. I hope my figures are correct. I see Dr. Peter Machungwa there. I think my narration is correct. The next election, 5 years after, should have been 1993. But the people of Zambia decided that they were tired of a one-party state, where largely freedoms were taken away from them. At our time in university, as undergraduates, students, you never talk to your roommates, two of you. Those days, university roommates, rooms were occupied by 2 students. I never spoke to my roommate about politics because I wasn't sure whether he was what we called them as SBs. Because in 2 people, one of them possibly is an informer in a one-party state. So you never talk to your colleague in the roommate. Maybe after 2-3 years, then you gather courage to talk to your roommate about your freedoms. So a number of young men and women after 1998 election decided that enough was enough. And Sejan was one of those. As you heard from the life's history, he was still just a young professional, only married in 1989. And 1990, Sejan left basically what you may call public office and joined politics together with people like Dr. Machungwa there, who I think was senior to him in age, I would suspect, and a number of others. Took a risk. General Matifeo, timing, clock. That was your message. Sejan understood that the call was made for the nation, for a courageous group to deliver the country away from one-party state into a multi-party state. That movement led to calling of an early election, 1991, 2 years ahead. And as you heard, he got elected as Member of Parliament for Mapatizia in 1991. First time he entered Parliament. Then he moved on. I see Vijay is there. He too had resigned from government.
Eh, papa avait Benobi ma caméra. Yo pèse rendez
into court. Now we've heard from the judges. They listened to the submissions and they have told us either tomorrow at the latest. So let us go back to our homes and let us be united. You shall be informed if the judgment is tomorrow. We'll ask you to come and listen to the judgment. One Zambia, I want to thank the leadership of the PF in South Africa and to thank all of you Zambians in South Africa. Don't worry about those who are hired to come and make noise up home. For you, you are doing this because of the love that you have. Please go back to your homes peacefully and let us meet again when we're going to receive the judgment. I also want to thank our brothers and sisters, the South Africans who are supporting us. There are many of our brothers and sisters South Africans who have come to join us. And many other Africans who have come to join us. Congolese are also here. Thank you, Malawians. Thank you. Thank you, all Africans who are here. Thank you. Let's remain united. One Zambia, one nation.
Those who voted for change must have now realized that the president they voted for has kept this country paralyzed. If you voted for him, but you're also feeling the pain, I hope you do your best to see it never happens again. Those who voted for change must have now realized that the president they voted for has kept this country paralyzed. If you voted for him, but you're also feeling the pain, I hope you do your best to see it never happens again.
Acting President, the phone lines are open. I'll start with Linda Banks. She's from the United Kingdom. She is an international journalist, but she played a key role in the last election. She was in the media team of the UPND, and she has begged that she reads this matter for you. Maybe, for the callers, just wait, let me just read this. Honorable Given Lubinda, I was one of the many Zambians who in a small but deliberate way helped you to vote your party out because I believed you had mismanaged national affairs. There was issues of corruption, there was issues of inequality, and the cost of living spiraled out of control. But today, under the current leadership, things have worsened. Load shedding is back, and it has been with us second year in running. The cost of milling was tripled, and the basic survival of, literally, the basic survival of our people is now a luxury. What, in your view, has President Hichilema and his administration done to push the country into this desperate level of hardship? And are we looking at systematic failure rather than the failure of Hichilema's leadership? What is your party? Why, number two, why is your party still interested in returning to power? What would you do differently? Why would Zambian people listen to you? And that is, let me now take the cause. That was Linda Banks. We take now the calls that are... caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Mwamba. And thank you so much for bringing Mr. Lubinda. Mr. Lubinda, I'm happy that you've spoken about opposition unity. And I really, really see you as a leader because despite all the mingalatos from our president to divide, to destroy the PF, you've stood in the midst of a crisis to put that party together. Now what we want you is to work with other opposition to come, to join the united front. That's what Zambians want. Now I've got three quick questions. The first question I've got, Lubinda, is what is your passion for Zambia? Then the second question, if you had an opportunity to become a president of Zambia, what is that one thing or the priority that you're gonna, what is the priority thing you're gonna do on the first day? I'll give an example. An American president on the first day will sign, what they call, which is equivalent to Zambia, which is equivalent to Zambia as a statutory instrument to change one thing. What is that you want to change for Zambia? And the last question is, what is the biggest challenge standing between Zambia and sustained development and growth? I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's just take a few calls. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Good evening, the acting president, PF. Yeah, Washington.
Hello, Washington, are you cut? Hello.
The acting president, together with the PF, they should stand strong and put in place the leadership that is required. Never should they be intimidated with anything that is happening. The focus should be how they can unite together as a party. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much. I'm Donoska. I'm calling from Italy. Good evening, Honorable Lubinda. Good evening, everybody. Emmanuel Mwamba, thank you very much for the beautiful program that you are really giving the Zambian people in a time when there is no freedom of speech in our country, unfortunately. Thank you very much. And good evening, the viewers and all the listeners. I'm Donoska. I'm a Catholic priest. By giving Lubinda, there's something that first of all, I have to appreciate about you. You have stayed very closely to Dr. ECL in the time when it was very difficult situation. Honorable Given Lubinda, it's not your fault. It's not the fault of the PF that there is a confusion in the party. It's not your fault, I repeat. And it's not the fault of the PF that there is a confusion. Now, we have a reality where I have to mention this. Please listen. Please, Ramwamba, give me 2 minutes. Let me speak out on this matter.
Father Oscar, just a minute. Father Oscar, Honorable Given Lubinda, is a Catholic priest based in Italy, Father Oscar Mwansampombo. For that reason, he does have measurable more time than. So I'll allow you to speak. Please say your thoughts.
Thank you so much. But Given Lubinda, we decampaigned you. I was one of the people who was there on the TV Bakwetu of the last Munsha. With Dr. Kasonso, with my sister Lilian Mutambo, with the Linda Banks, with Pumulos Tumbeko. I am not going to get ashamed to speak about my history. This, by Dr. Lubinda, this is the history. We come from a position where we were accusing you of certain things. Now we come now to what is happening in the country. We want to Aqualesa. Like Given Lubinda, I appreciate you have been there this time when ECL was being persecuted. All of us, the Zambian people, we have seen. I felt embarrassed as a Zambian citizen to see how South Africa gave security to the former First Lady, Madam Esther Lungu in South Africa. And in our country, that woman has been treated like a delinquent by Given Lubinda. We want to Aqualesa. Zambia Hakainde Chileba of 2021 is the only opposition party of Hakainde 2025. I repeat. President Hakainde Chilema of 2021 is the best opposition political party of Hakainde Chilema of 2025. So, Imaba Lubinda, you don't have to fight so much. There is nothing much that you are supposed to fight. Echo nomba ture chula kobonse fwe. Cho abantu abena Zambia wale chula. Na inewe inecho nde chula konoko turi. I'm a Catholic priest. I'm not a politician. But apatuafika pa na ifufu ina wakatolika, even if I'm not a politician, twaingira mokweba chawe chalo chesu twali chitemwa. We love our country and we want our country to do something much better than it has done. Lubinda, the confusion which is there, the question of who you spokesperson of Tonsi Alliance, Sean Tembo, Lubinda, the confusion which is not in time of Lubinda, Pangila confusion, Yakuba, PF, Babula, Babika Kuli Chavinga. First of all, it's not Chavinga, Bape, Mausampa. No, by nature, Lubinda, and therefore, Kulilani, Nafkamapa. And I squat a video. I was going to show you, I'm going to kneel down. Now I'm telling you, I'm kneeling down. And I'm kneeling down, I'm telling you this. Lubinda, given Lubinda, look at how President Hakainde Hichilema is misusing you people from Northern Province and Eastern Province. He used Mao Sampa. He has used Robert Chavinga. He's using many other people from Northern Province and Eastern, even the one who forwarded the case in South Africa. We will remember.
Robert Chavinga.
Yes, Chavinga. No. What South Africa?
Oh, Vincent Kafula. Vincent Kafula.
Kafula Lubinda. Kafula wakumwesu. Chavinga wakumwesu. Mao Sampa wakumwesu. Lubinda. Why are you allowing to be used by this man? Why are you being used? What is the problem? This is shameful. Wabantu wakwalesa. Tayari wakumwesu. Uyu wakuwa murusaka atishani uyu wakuwa Amerika atishani uula
Simon Mwewa.
Simon Mwewa wakumwesu. Lubinda, Simon Mwewa wakumwesu. Tayari wakumwesu. Chavinga wakumwesu. Mao Sampa wakumwesu. Nishi wala miwonte shaimwe. This is painful. So, from here, go back and reflect seriously. If Hakainde Hichilema will win elections in 2026, it's not because Hakainde Hichilema is a good leader, but it's because by giving Lubinda you, I'm pointing at you. Given Lubinda you, you are going to betray the Zambian people. And please, kneel down before God. Ask God to give blessings so that in the history of the Zambian, you are not going to be put on the list of those who betrayed the Zambian people. I pray for you. I'm going to pray for you. Given Lubinda. Don't be like Mao Sampa, Chavinga, maybe Chilufya Taluna Ena. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Harikalaba, Naena Harikalaba. Maybe it's going to be used. Harikalaba, you are going to be used by Hakainde Hichilema. Insoni, na tumfwe kwensoni. Nangutama kwa tensoni, na papat. Thank you so much, Honorable, and thank you so much, all the viewers. Thank you.
Father, let me ask, your remarks, especially when you attach them to tribe, raises concern. Put clarification to that.
Yes.
Put clarification to that, because it creates discomfort when you attach national unity to issues of tribe. Just clarify.
I am going to clarify because where I am here, in the Kurom, I'm going to clarify this, and the Zambian people listen to the question of tribes in Zambia. For me, I have no problem with the question of tribes because I have my brothers and my friends from the southern province, eastern, western province, northwestern, southwestern province, Ruapula province, Muchinga and Central, and Copper Belt province, Narusaka. Even I have friends all over the shore. When we say this, it's what we are reading on paper. Inokonoko tuli, monen. Ba Emmanuel Mwamba, yesterday, 2 days ago, we had a video in Trafalgar Square, Kurom, Kwadi, 1.5 million youth coming from all over the world. There were also Zambians from Kitwe, from Ndola Diocese, and from Lusaka Diocese, all over the shore. So when we are talking about ourselves, we are asking them questions. Where do you come from? Peru. Where do you come from? Japan. Where do you come from? Zambia. I have never been a tribalist. I've never had any friend of mine. My best friend at Chiwala Secondary School was Imwinga. He was from Monze Diocese. He was a Tonga guy. Was my best friend. So I have nothing to do with the tribe. The tribe question, Zambian people, friend, is a question of the imperialists. I'm telling you this. I'm here in Europe. And if what I'm saying is wrong, Emmanuel Mwamba is going to tell me. Emmanuel Mwamba is going to tell me whether what I'm saying is wrong. Here in Europe, they respect all the tribes and the races. When we laugh about the Chinese, it's not a case. It's just a joke. When I laugh about the Italians, it's not a case, a police case. It's just a joke. When they laugh about me as a Zambian, I'm telling you what they call me. They call me that. I'm like a monkey. Because I'm a black person, I'm like a monkey. I eat from the tree. But I've never taken anybody to the court of law. And I stay in Europe. Why should we hate ourselves? So there is nothing like tribalism. I have nothing like segregation myself. I love all my brothers. Tongas, Yanja, Mumbo, Kaonde, Kaluwale.
Okay, Father. Okay, Father. I think you've made your point. I was just concerned. Because when you picked out these men and you said they're being used because of their tribe, I wanted the clarification. Because you know my stand against tribalism, even Honorable Given Lubinda, is quite strong. But I understand the point you're trying to drive. Issues of tribe should never come into our politics. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. My name is Isaac Mulezuma Njovu, and I'm calling you from United Kingdom.
Yes.
Thank you. Greetings, Honorable Ambassador Mwamba, and also greetings to the President, Honorable Given Lubinda. Thank you. My question is direct to the acting President. Sir, considering with the happenings that has engulfed in PF, with how much, of course, the executive, including the judiciary in Zambia, have paid deliberate, of course, attention to what you have gone to the courts to get justice, which is not being delivered or given to you as the legitimate leaders of the Patriotic Front. What other avenues, considering you are our acting president, because the membership across the globe are asking to say, what is the next step of action before we begin to talk about going to the convention? What other avenues, sir, through you, your office, are we going to use, considering the Chief Justice is ignoring what is being presented or what the matter are in courts today to give back the PF to the right, legitimate owners of the party? What other avenues are we going to use so that the Patriotic Front can get back and continue, of course, being a voice and a voice for the poor Zambians.
Thank you. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you. Yeah, callers, I want to take as many calls as possible quickly so that we can allow Honorable Given Lubinda to answer. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, and good evening, Dr. Lubinda. This is Mr. Zulu Thomas in Lusaka, the Gen Z movement.
Oh, yes, my brother. Make your contribution.
Yes, I would like to encourage Dr. Lubinda to soldier on. He has been leading the Tonse Alliance, Opposition Front, and the PF. As he has said, HH is going to be brutal going forward. But we should not waver and we should not fear. We should go on. HH is already gone. Next year, we're just waiting to vote. And as he has said, the opposition must unite. We need to unite and time is gone. So I'm just encouraging him and all the opposition leaders. Please, let's soldier on and quickly find the torchbearer. Thank you very much. And for you, Mr. Mwamba, your program, please continue hosting it. We are getting it. We are spoiled for choice on which platform to get you. Plenty of platforms are running your program. So congratulations and continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Just take a few calls again so that we have a reflection. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello. Kina mamsonda kwanu. Balumele Shangwe.
Shangwe.
Enisha. Namhulu balubu walwenda niwa na balumele. I am calling and I am very concerned that I can listen to my fellow brother in the name of Father Pombo or whatever his name is, to use Christianity to segregate people. I am so disheartened that the PF don't seem to really understand the ramifications of this tribalism and where we've come from. You were perpetrators when you were in power using tribalism. You want to continue to be perpetrators when you are in the opposition.
My dear sister, my dear sister. No, just a minute. No. Ima, just a minute. Just the person who has called. Just a minute. Let me not argue with you. The person who has called Father Oscar Pombo is not Patriotic Front. In fact, as he confessed himself, he even was part of those that contributed to the removal of President Hakainde Hichilema. He has supported, so you can't say the PF. And Father,
why I'm saying the PF.
Yeah, I don't want to argue with you. I just wanted to clarify.
Arguments are being perpetrated using your platform.
No.
For your numbers.
Again, Again,
Extremely wrong.
My dear sister, I want to give you room. My sister, you are not listening. I want to control the program. Madam, just wait. Are you listening? Oh, she's not listening.
Lubinda was talking about the announcement of the death of the Republican president. You play videos, Wamamba, when you are trying to betray a point. I would ask you to play a video when Honorable Lubinda was announcing the death of Edgar Lungu. He was so animated to a point that I recall him saying that what he was declaring was a national mourning, and that was the official national mourning. I would like to ask him, in what capacity was he declaring an official national mourning, but over and above that, still expect Hakainde Hichilema to come and declare a national mourning? You know, at some point when there are heated issues, somebody has to take a backseat to see how far you can go. He further went on and wrote a letter. Pull up that letter and see the words that were used by Given Lubinda. He literally made that this funeral was a PF funeral. We were led by Edgar Lungu. We wanted to mourn Edgar Lungu. But even us, who were with you, trying to mourn, you've left us in a situation where we don't know whether we are mourning, we don't know whether we are watching. Please, can you put the interest of the country at heart? Both yourselves, the UPND, we are tired of this politics of divide and rule to push your numbers. Get your act together. Thank you.
Honorable, given Lubinda, the issue of tribe might escalate. Father Oscar Pombo Mwansa, like I explained, was part of the Bakwetu. He supported President Hakainde Hichilema. He has become his biggest critic. I got concerned when he referred to tribe, and you saw my interference in his discourse. I think the issue of tribe, we've made it very, very clear. You know, we do not tolerate it. I understand what Father Pombo is trying to say is that in his strategy, President Hakainde appears to be using the people he's fighting, because President Hakainde Hichilema has been accused of practicing tribalism, of appointing people from his tribe and region. He is at the center of the tribal politics to diffuse the politics of tribe. Like you had said, he never arrests those people that insult others, that issue hate speech. He never does that, but he's quick to implement laws, arrest people that he accuses of speaking, for example, in the manner that the father spoke. Just speak to the issue of tribe, because the issue of tribe is very sensitive. Our debate is going to degenerate to tribe, and that's not the purpose of this platform.
No,
but let me just get
we
your
will
views
not allow
before we
that.
go back to callers.
Ambassador, I can tell you that you and I will not allow that this program degenerates into being a tribal issue. And the lady who called, Mamusonda, I don't know what she said, Mamusonda or something like that, I think missed the point. If I listened very well to Father was making reference to people whom he thinks have been used to destabilize the patriotic front. He mentioned particular names, and he said these are people from my region, his region, not Lubinda's region, but Father's region. And he was saying, please, you don't allow to be abused. And that is how you intervened to say, are you talking about tribe generally? And he also explained that he wasn't speaking about tribe generally. You have stated very clearly, Ambassador, that I am beyond tribe. And the reason why I go by the name Zayelo, it is not necessarily because of the pigmentation of my skin. It is because I am universal. I carry no tribe. And I associate with every Zambian as a Zambian. I have a mother who hails from where Mamusonda hails from. I also have a mother who hails from the Central Province. As a matter of fact, Mamusonda may be interested to know that I am headman in both of these regions. I have children from Chief Mushota, Avena Chishinga. I have children born of a Tonga woman. I know no tribe, and I have no time whatsoever for anyone who treads on tribe. I would like that lady to also know that I'm one of the founding members of the UPND. And the reason I left the UPND in 2006, even after I won by a landslide at the convention of the UPND in 2006, was because of the statements that were being issued, which I'm sure that woman is aware of. If she has been following politics in Zambia, she knows what happened at the 2006 UPND convention. That is what made me leave. Now, being a person, a product of a woman who is from Western Province, and also partly from Central Province, having lived amongst my brothers and sisters in Southern Province, she would have expected me to belong to the UPND. I chose that I am beyond tribe. I have been a member of the Patriotic Front without consideration of tribe, because in the Patriotic Front, I mingle with people from all tribes in Zambia. And I see no person in the Patriotic Front who will survive in the event that they want to use tribe, because members of the Patriotic Front have gone beyond that. Members of the Patriotic Front are complaining about how tribe is taking center stage. And our number one ambition is to ensure that we unite the country beyond tribe. So I don't think that Ambassador and myself would allow that anyone tries to degenerate our program into being a matter of tribe. What I would like to just respond to that lady, she said that I declared a day of or period of national mourning. No, I didn't. I did not declare national mourning. I declared mourning for members of my dear political party. And I did that because your president, President Hakainde Hichilema, and his government did not do what was expected of them. Number one, to announce officially the demise of a former head of state. And number two, to declare solemn period of national mourning. He came to declare 7 days, 2 days after I had already declared mourning for members of the Patriotic Front. I did not say people must go to Belvedere or go to Woodlands Stadium or go to Heroes Stadium. I asked members of the Patriotic Front to gather at our secretariat and to gather at our offices. And
thank you, Acting President. Let's revert. I think it was very important that you set that tone, and I hope that we can have time. You know, today they were putting to rest Honorable Axon Sejani, former Minister of Local Government, and I remember his role at the conference you are talking about. You know, himself, Emon Rex Intala and Siache Madienkuku promoted the tribal agenda there. But of course, a man is dead, was being put to rest. It would not be the appropriate time to discuss him. The issue of tribe is very concerning, and how we handle it is very important to the national unity of this country. Dr. Kaunda was very clear. And what President Hakainde Hichilema has been doing, he has not helped in healing this nation. Callers, let's now go back to our dear callers, because the numbers, the phones are buzzing. They want to speak to Honorable Lubinda. Caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Ambassador.
Yes, please. You're live on EMV.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. This is Chilamba Mlenga from England.
Yes,
I'm
Chilamba.
in London. Yeah, sure. So, I think I was a little bit on a break when I was listening to. Is it the father from Italy who was talking about something to do with tribe and why people are being used in the PF? I think let's remove the aspect of tribe when we're talking about people being used. Okay? Because if you're going to be emphasizing more on tribe, it will be very, very difficult for us to build up. And even the people in the opposition, it will be very difficult for them to build up. Because I say so, when you attach tribe to anything that you are doing, it will just be taking us back. We want to build a Zambia where tribe will have no place in our society. For example, I'll tell you this. I feel very ashamed to talk to my friends who are from different tribes, because when we are talking about tribe, more especially in the PF party, it really depends. So I would encourage that everyone, whenever they are talking about issues to do with politics, let us stick to issue-based politics and nothing to do with tribe.
Thank you, my brother.
I don't know if there's time to ask a question. I'd love to ask the rest.
Quickly. There are so many people waiting.
Yeah, sure. So I just want to find out, like, what's the forward with this noise that we are hearing? Are we going to, is the party going to go with the Tonse Alliance, looking at the behavior of some members of the Tonse Alliance, or the PF is planning to go ahead and do something on their own? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. My name is Freddie Tematema, and I'm calling from England. To begin with, I would like to thank you for having brought Honorable Given Lubinda. I've known Given Lubinda from the 1980s when he was president of the union at an institution where we attended together. And he has been a good man, and as far as I'm concerned, I've never had any issues with him. And I've never seen anything tribal about him. So that issue to do with tribalism, I think it's not circulating around Given Lubinda. No. What I wanted to talk about today is something new. And I think this new thing is likely to help improve the situation which we find ourselves in Zambia. Sometimes we get engrossed in terminology that we don't comprehend completely because we've inherited the terminology from English, which we've studied from primary or other people that were lucky from kindergarten. What I want to draw attention to all Zambians is to this national anthem which we sing. I think once you study it, maybe we should stop singing it. We should be reading it and understand what exactly the message is all about. It talks about unity. When I look at the Bible, they say Zambia is a Christian nation, and I believe so. We should also ask ourselves, how many times does the Bible talk about unity? Honorable Given Lubinda had talked about unity as yielding best for each individual participating in that unity. When we were very young, I remember sticks were held, matchsticks. They broke one very easily. When they put many of them together, it was difficult to break them. That was the time when we were talking about an injury to one is an injury to all. Even Lubinda may remember those words. What I'm trying to say is that this situation which is happening here today, if we are not careful, it will be worsening. Anyone who is going to take over from the current president, HH, may get worse than HH is today. Because we are using what I call divisive political language. And I'm of the belief that we can do something completely different from what everyone else is doing in the world. And we remove this word to begin with, which we call parties. And we just call them teams, thinking teams. If I brought all the opposition party leaders, some of them who are in Tonsi today, and gave them 20 questions, and one of the most important questions being, what do you want to do for Zambia? Most likely, all of them will give us almost the same things.
My dear brother, let me just take a few calls. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. I will remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
Thank you very much. I have a few questions for President Lubinda. Not too long ago, we had our priest brother from Rome. I think he owes Zambians an apology the way he came out. He was trying to put a point across, but the language that he used, and that is what Lamwamba, you immediately reacted, and it was good that you had to interrupt and just to clarify, and you being the host, I think it was important that you set the benchmark on what is allowed, what is appropriate, and what we must shy away from. I think, my brother, what he needed to have used, the word was maybe integrity instead of people being used. We can critique each other by using maybe that type of leadership lacks integrity for them. So I think that one will be much more appropriate than starting to regionalize and labeling people in that regard. And it's not surprising that our sister reacted in the manner she did. Now, moving forward, But Lubinda, you have spoken about not leaving anybody behind in the uniting. And you have led Zambia. Your party has led Zambia. You have lessons. People reacted. You lost an election. What lessons? One of the major things that have been criticized by the PF regime was tribalism and, of course, cadreism. Now, in the face of wanting to show the Zambian people, and looking at how still united you are, which is a commendable job and, admirable, how are you responding to the Zambian people to see that, to give them hope that what they said no to is not going to happen? One thing that we would like to see, I personally, would be how is the formation of your executive? Not too long ago, I will give reference to Bamwamba again. Bamwamba is hosting. This is his platform. Somebody came in and had some sentiments that did not go appropriately. 2 weeks ago, if not a week ago, we have seen a picture, a portrait of aspiring candidates, a poll of some sorts, where people are asking, who do you think should lead the Patriotic Front? I'm not too sure whether that has been endorsed by your leadership, but looking at you as a leader, and when you look at the faces that are there, already scares a lot of Zambians, that already it is regional. Don't you think this is the time that whether the Patriotic Front approves it or not, should go out and issue a statement to say kindly ignore what is being paraded? This has not been endorsed by the Patriotic Front, because that already is showing to us, the Zambian people, that the PF are very sensitive to such kind of things happening.
Thank you, my dear sister. Thank you, my dear sister.
Just the last one, Bamwamba, sorry. Another one is, when you go into an alliance, my concern is, if other political party leadership endorses a candidate from that Patriotic Front, what will be their claim? Do they automatically get a minister position in the government? Is that what we are saying? I would like you to dwell on that. What would be the criteria for this alliance where we're talking of everybody must go to filter in one? What will be at stake for these other supporters of that candidature?
Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you. Hello, my last caller, so that I allow Honorable Given Lubinda to answer. I'll give guidance of how we'll proceed after this. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador Chanda in the U.S.
Yes, Chanda.
Good evening, Honorable Lubinda.
Yeah.
Honorable Lubinda, it is very clear that the Patriotic Front is probably one of the most loved political parties in the history of the country. Okay, people love it. People are hurting that the party is not in power, and we must acknowledge the fact that it was mainly due to the violence by the cadres, right? And once we look ourselves in the mirror and agree that this is actually what led us to lose power, what measures are you putting in place if the Zambian people trusted you again with the reins of power? What measures are you putting in place to ensure that that never repeats itself? Number one. Number two, I want to make a very, very provocative proposal to you and the Zambian people. In my right thinking mind, I don't think Zambia needs the number of political parties we have. Would you be up to open a discussion, national discussion, to change the constitution, to limit the number of political parties to 3? In our current state, the confusion we see is because we have opened up the floodgates and basically diluted the knowledge and the intelligence that we have into too many groupings. I believe if we focused on changing our political structure, only allowing democratically, of course, through a democratic process, allow for only 3 political parties to exist. If you can't identify yourself with political party 1, you go to 2 or 3, or 3 to 2 to 1. I rest my case. I wish you all the best, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, this is how we'll proceed. Honorable Given Lubinda, you've had a myriad of questions, but it's late in the night. You are in Johannesburg. You are not at your house. I think it's important that we allow you to quickly go home safely. I'll answer that calls later. This is what we are going to do, callers. I'll allow the acting president, Honorable Given Lubinda, to answer the questions and reflections so far, and then give his last remarks. Then for the next 20-30 minutes, I'm going to take your calls. He'll be listening in, but those questions that I can answer, I'll allow him to. For security and other reasons, I have to allow Honorable Given Lubinda to go. It's very late in Johannesburg, in Sandton, where he is, and I think that information is enough. We have to allow him to leave. Also, my technical team that are hosting him. But I'll remain here. You remain connected, and you still can call. We are going to take questions. So let's allow Honorable Given Lubinda to give his reflections, and then we allow him to leave. Honorable Given Lubinda. For one reason or another, we don't seem to have volume. Honorable Vice President, we don't seem to have volume. Let me just sort that out quickly. For one reason or another, we don't seem to have volume.
Africa, one nation,
Are we all right now? Do you have volume there?
Yes, I have volume. Can you hear me? Yes, I have volume. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful.
So we may proceed.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. I was saying first that I was very grateful to you for being so considerate that you would like to allow me to leave so that I can be in safety. And I said I would like to respond to the very last question that was posed by our dear brother from the US. And the last question he posed was whether I would be in support of an idea to amend the Constitution, the Republican Constitution, to limit the number of political parties to either 2 or 3. I can understand where he's coming from. When you have a proliferation of political parties, you tend to divide votes. And because of that, you also reduce on the effectiveness of the opposition because of the different policy positions that would be had by different political parties. However, my position is that that wouldn't be a preposition that I would support. I am a firm believer in the freedom of association, and the Republican Constitution should not be used to stop people from establishing political parties or organizations through which they would like to express their views. However, my personal view is that as democracy grows, the number of political parties also tends to reduce. And as you can see in Zambia, in the 2021, in the run-up to the 2021 elections, a number of political parties gravitated together. We had the UPND alliance with a number of political parties. And you also had a number of political parties that gravitated towards the Patriotic Front. You also see that happening now. We have some alliances coming up. And I'm sure that with time, we'll end up with predominant political parties. There will be a lot of other parties, but they will all be small political parties that will only be useful for alliances, parties that cannot stand in an election on their own. And this is, I think, the best practice to develop rather than us limiting the number of political parties using the constitution. My friend also mentioned the fact that the PF is the most loved political party in Zambia. Yes, indeed. And I thank you for recognizing that, and thank you for reminding us that the Patriotic Front is the most loved party. This again goes to answer the question that you talked about limiting the number of political parties in Zambia. People have been saying that once a political party loses government, it never comes back. We are now at the crossroads, and the Patriotic Front, with its alliance partners in Tonse, and with our hope and work and effort towards harmonizing all the other opposition political parties, we are quite confident that the Patriotic Front will form government together with its partners in 2026. And once that happens, we'll be consolidating the position I spoke about, that there'll be predominant political parties who will continue to be in the leadership of providing political space for the citizens. The cadres, and I'll combine this question with the question that was asked by somebody who called earlier. Are there any lessons that we have learned? Certainly, there are many lessons that we've learned. There are many lessons that we learned from our defeat. One of the most important questions or lessons we learned is that we should not run away from ensuring that people are adequately informed about what we're doing, about the different facets of life and the different facets of leadership. I have to concede that we lost our guard with regard to media space. We allowed the UPND to dominate the media space to a point where they were the only ones who were being heard effectively. And they went around, projected us in very, very bad light, and projected themselves as angels to a point where people thought that just voting for UPND would be a panacea to all their problems. But we're also learning now that people learn as well. And this is the reason why I feel for those who, on behalf of the many others who have not spoken today, who are regretting that they were misled. They voted for an illusion. And that illusion was created because of the utilization of media space by the UPND. Yes, there were cases of cadreism. Yes, I myself was slapped in public as Minister of Justice. I was slapped by cadres. And I'm happy that I managed to forgive the young man who slapped me. And that was a lesson learned by myself and a lesson learned by many of us in the Patriotic Front, that when we form government, we must ensure that our cadres are not given any space to think that they can get involved in activities that are not building, activities where they feel that they are walking on top of the world and they have the power to do as they wish without reprimand. That is something that we've been working on ever since we lost elections in 2021. And as acting president of the Patriotic Front, I have to say the developments that we've seen because of the constant engagement with our youths is very positive. We have been in various by-elections, and I'm pleased to say there's not been any case at all of violence by our people or acts that bring the name of a cadre into disrepute. Our youths have been conducting themselves in an orderly manner. I did refer to the funeral, for instance. When we were gathering at the PF Secretariat, government officials were on television threatening that the cadres at the PF Secretariat would engage in violence and engage in all sorts of manner of vices. I am proud, as acting president, to report to you, Ambassador, and to report to the viewers that there was no such incidents our people conducted themselves in a highly professional manner. And this is what we want to take into the governance that will be in place after 2026 elections. The issues of the national anthem, that's a very important matter. Yes, our national anthem now is being sung just as a song. Time has come for us to start sensitizing our people on the content and meaning of the national anthem. We also ought to sensitize our people on the content of our Constitution. What does our Constitution provide? Our Constitution itself has articles or clauses that inhibit any tribal practices in the governance of the country. We don't need any additional laws at all because the Constitution provides that, first of all, whenever there are appointments in any government and by any government official, the issues of gender must be borne and the issues of regional balancing must be taken account of. The challenge we have at the moment is that not many Zambians have internalized the Constitution. For example, the Constitution itself has a host of principles that every Zambian must abide to. Principles of democracy, principles of good governance, principles of patriotism, principles of the defense of the Constitution. All those are embodied in our Constitution, and I agree with my brother that these are matters that we should sensitize our people on so that our people move together with us. So I agree with my brother Tematema very much about those matters of the national anthem, but I think we ought to include the Constitution. Another question was asked, and if I heard correctly, the question was, are you going as a Tonse Alliance for the 2026 elections, or are you going alone as PF? Our desire in the Patriotic Front, our desire in the Tonse Alliance is that we go into the 2026 elections as a united opposition front. This is the reason why the Patriotic Front is participating and engaging in any and every exercise that is aiming at bringing all well-meaning and like-minded opposition political parties together. There are some opposition political parties that we know are not carrying similar values such as ourselves, and those ones will allow to continue to partner with the UPND. But those that we know are like-minded, we are encouraging that we work with them, we bring all of them on board, so that we to the 2026 elections as a united political party. There was also a question from, I think, Mr. Njovu in the UK, who said something about the judiciary and how they are not handling our matter efficiently and speedily. And he was asking what is our next course of action. I want to say to you, my dear brother, that that is not something that I can divulge on a public platform such as this. The only thing I can say to you is that we are watching the performance of the judiciary over matters that are inhibiting the return of the documents back to the authentic leaders of the Patriotic Front. We're watching that very carefully. We're not losing sight of it. However, we are also alive to the fact that this may actually be protracted for political purposes. And if that be the case, we have other avenues that we're going to use to ensure that the Zambians have an alternative government in place, that they have an alternative political organization to look at, rather than them being given only one party. Because we know that Hagainde's agenda is to ensure that he weakens the opposition so that come 2026, he stands unopposed. We know for a fact that this is the reason why he is also haunting our members of parliament. And I want to say, by and large, we in the leadership of the Patriotic Front are very, very happy with the tenacity of members of parliament, opposition members of parliament. And I'm sure that as we get towards the crossing line, Hakainde Hichilema will not have it easy, because then the members of the Patriotic Front in parliament will realize that there is no more time for Hakainde and his presiding officers to continue to subjugate them to the extent that they are doing right now. Yes, again, I want to say, save for the misunderstanding that probably father was being tribal, I, however, listened to his passion. I can feel the passion in him. And he and many other Zambians share that passion, that they brought us where we are today. And it is only fair that we allow them to join us in lamenting the fact that we Zambians made a very big mistake. But also, as a Christian myself, I want to say to Father, Father, cry not, because what happened in 2021 may actually have been divine. I would like to just ask people who have been following the politics of Zambia, hadn't Hakainde Hichilema been declared winner? I'm not saying hadn't he won, I'm saying hadn't he been declared winner in 2021? Had ECL continued, what could have happened to that rhetoric from Hakainde Hichilema? In 2021, he already convinced Zambians that he was an angel. And he called us names. He called us corrupt. Can you imagine what could have happened hadn't he been declared winner? I think that Zambians would not have been sitting pretty, because they would have been saying, this man who is God sent has been denied an opportunity. But that was God's own will. As far as I'm concerned, thank you, God. I just have to thank God that it happened. Because now people are capable of comparing, not rhetoric against practice, but now they are capable of comparing practice. They are capable of comparing deeds. They are capable of comparing abilities. They are capable of comparing governance styles. And I'm sure that many Zambians know now that not everything that glitters is gold. And now people have come to the realization that there are some politicians who are very witty. They know how to twist their tongues to a point where they convince you that if you vote for them at 10 hours, at 12 hours, the dollar exchange to the kwacha will have improved tenfold. That they would tell you that they have friends in the United States of America who have lined up $25 million, and that the day that they are declared, the $25 million will be transferred into Zambian treasury. At least Zambians have learnt this. And I think let's not lament. Let's say thank you, God, for giving us the opportunity to judge so that we can know better how to vote in 2026. For those who are giving me encouragement to be strong, I certainly will continue to be strong, especially that I strong with very strong members of the Patriotic Front in the Central Committee, my colleagues in the National Executive Committee, my colleagues in the Tonse Alliance, and of course, the general members of the Patriotic Front. Somebody asked me, what is the challenge for growth in Zambia? And the second question he asked was, what is your priority for Zambia in the event that you were elected to lead Zambia? I'll combine the two. And my answer to that is that the major challenge that we have in Zambia is that we're forgetting who Zambia belongs to. The Hakainde Hichilema regime has forgotten that Zambia is an endowment for Zambians. And if there is anything that ought to be done, is to change the mindset of the leader. The leaders in Zambia must come to the acceptance of the fact that there is no other country to which those Zambians belong except Zambia. And everything that is done must be done in the interest of Zambians first. Those endowments of Zambia must be for the beneficiation of Zambians. Those minerals that are being extracted must be extracted and exploited for the benefit first of Zambia. We must be Zambia-centric. All our decisions must be Zambia-centric. When our people produce maize, as we say they have done this year, we must not be quick to say we're going to export our maize. 1 million metric tons we shall export before we see that there will not be hunger in 2 years' time in the event of a drought. We must secure the interests of Zambians before we think about making personal money. Because as a matter of fact, as things are today, Ambassador, when maize was exported, maize which Edgar Chagwalungu left in silos, how much money went to government treasury? None. Because unfortunately, that maize was exported without any export excise duty. I happen to have been Minister of Agriculture, and I can tell you, Ambassador, that we also decided to export maize, but we only exported after we had ensured that there was sufficient reserve for 3 years. The surplus is what we exported. And those people who came and took over from us and were claiming that the maize was going to get rotten do not know what agriculture is. Because in agriculture, just like in any strategic reserve, you have a system of replenishment. The older product is sold to be replaced by the new product. But you still maintain the strategic reserve. For whose interest? Zambia. Now we're exploiting our maize. Today, Ambassador, you and I have heard about a $1 billion credit that has been paid to Kansenshi for gold. Tell me, how much of what that 1 billion has gone to government treasury? Zero. Why? Because we have a government that is not Zambia-centric. They are not thinking about Zambia, they are thinking about their friends who have fat bank accounts. We left mineral royalty tax at 8%. What did they do? 4%. They came and said, this mineral royalty tax shall now be tax deductible. Meaning that even that $1 billion, which we should have been saying this money is coming to benefit Zambians, is not even coming into the economy. It's not coming into our economy. Not even the mineral royalty tax will come into our economy. We have to change that mindset. We have to make sure that everything we do is evolving around Zambia. That is our priority. We in the Patriotic Front have not lost the vision of our founding president to be pro-poor. Everything we do, we must ask ourselves, how is it impacting on the lives of the poorest of the poor in our country? Because if you take care of the poorest of the poor, then you know that the rich will also benefit. If you take care only of the rich, then you also should be aware that the poor will only receive breadcrumbs. Let us change the paradigm. Let's make sure that our interest as a government is focused on the most vulnerable. Let us make sure that we are Zambia-centric. Let me also now end by thanking people like Linda Banks and all those who confessed that they assisted Hakainde Hichilema to remove Edgar Chagwalungu and the PF from government. Thank you for being candid. I'd like to enjoin you to come with us. Come, my dear brothers and sisters. We have only one country. We Zambians only have one country. But even you who are not Zambians, you must bear in mind that Zambia is a country which is not an island. It is a participant in the SADC region. It is a participant on the African continent. It is a participant in the global economy. And the manner in which our democracy grows impacts on other countries. The manner in which our economy grows and the manner in which the lives of Zambians are improved impacts on all of us. We're into this together. We do not subscribe to the idea that Zambia should be made an island. And this is the reason why we in the Patriotic Front, being Zambia-centric, we are also Pan-Africanists. And we shudder to imagine that we have a country which is opening, or rather creating disagreements in the sub-region. And the case of Edgar Chagwalungu's motto remains is a case in point, where the government of the Republic of Zambia, because of their lack of sensitivity to the plight of the family, and because of their desire to have the mortal remains of Edgar Lungu in front of them, they even drag another country into a court in their own jurisdiction. That is against the Vienna Convention, and no state must be allowed to do that. And as a Zambian, I feel that this is totally unacceptable. It's diabolical that my own country can risk the neighborly relations with South Africa by dragging the Minister of International Cooperation of South Africa into court over a matter that we as Zambians should have been able to handle without creating so much despondency and so much disagreement. What about the issues of the AFRICOM? These are matters of regional interest. The SADC already agreed, Ambassador Mwamba. You were ambassador for many years. You know that the SADC said they will not allow any country in the SADC to host a military base of any of the superpowers. What about the African continent? The African Union also decided that Africa will not be used as a base for any military base of the superpowers. And yet, we have a country, my country, being the one that is breaching all this. Remember that our founding father, Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, was one of the pioneers in the establishment of the non-aligned movement. We did not want to align ourselves to the West or to the East. We said we will be an African and will be non-aligned together with other countries, some of which are outside the continent of Africa. And yet now, when it comes to the matter of Russia against Ukraine, we take sides. When it comes to the matter of Morocco and Sahrawi, who do we support? No, we in the Patriotic Front will not allow to bring Zambia's international standing into ridicule, into question. We want to restore Zambia's position as a beacon of peace, because Zambia is the one that has been the center of the settlement of conflict in the region. That is the role that we must play as a country. Ambassador, I have to apologize to you that twice in the past you advertised that I'd appear on EMV, and on both occasions, and unfortunately I did not appear. But I want to assure you, Ambassador, that I know that your program is being followed everywhere, and I make myself available. There were many people who wanted to interact with me on this program, but because of your being kind, you want me to go away safe. But I'll be available for you. I'll be available to your many viewers. I am your servant. Thank you very much for hosting me, Ambassador.
Thank you very much, Acting President, and I'm glad you finally made it. As you've seen from the huge reaction from our people in comments, and the number of views and people that stayed live, the numbers are very huge. So really we hope that we've learned from you, and we are glad that you sacrificed the time. We'll let you, to you the callers, the line is open. I'll allow Honorable Given Lubinda to go, but he'll be listening to you. I might even call him if you for an answer, but we'll allow Honorable Given Lubinda to leave. Honorable Given Lubinda, thank you very much, and thank you for the sacrifices you are putting for the party and for the for the former First family, the Edgar Lungu family. We appreciate you and thank you very much. God bless you. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador Mamba. My name is Dennis Nyangwe, calling you from Canada.
Yes, Dennis.
Ambassador, thank you for this good program and thank you for hosting the acting president for PF. What he has said, truly, I am so much impressed. My only contribution today, I'll talk to all that are listening. Let us desist from this tribalism. This tribalism thing came because of UPND. They embarked on a motto to divide Zambians, and then at the end of it, it works for them. But we should not allow that. We Zambians, just like our founding father, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, said, one Zambia, one nation. That is what we are. We should never allow anyone to come and divide us. For me, I'm a Zambian. My tribe is Zambian. I don't look at a Zambian to be from which part of Zambia. I look at a Zambian to be a Zambian. So whoever speaks about tribalism, just know that this person does not mean well for Zambia. We are all Zambians. Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. God bless you. We are listening. And trust me, Ambassador Mwamba, you've brought hope to many Zambians. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's hear from you. You had something to say. We're hosting the former Vice President, the former Minister of Justice, who is the current acting president of PF. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
From West London.
Kwaiba munkonge barishani. Endita.
Baraba kora bashituma n'umubenshi tanayipwana araranda kuya mashiwe aya kukoseresha barubinda mubefi abashipa lero cyari becha shupo umuntu ngako nkanyo kurufyanya kurabo kwisa mukuchita overreacting wasita overreact abantu baresa mukumona yo wasita overreact kwasita uri bino abantu abarandaranda tabashi bari leadership yeno ko yafuma tabali koro mware sta petition mu 201 basata pamurandi wabamazoka tabaliko rumwani destroy leadership iri bombere y'abadani kalale ukufika na popo mufikire beni byabashipa utungurushi bwenu bukaranga abantu kutira uri ntungurushi mwari kwatano mutumo washipa iriyo bamazoka bafuire twapokerana na tribalism nomba abantu tabachira ndapo because UPND yari anda bamazoka tatwakwetepo ubafya kwa kusontana tribalism nomba after leadership yachinje ya UPND ekansa yali yaire kurabe yatushana parupene upo tuberere then barubinde chintu chimu mukese kumidya mukese tuweba ko discipline mwara panga pa banesu ba kada because ichalengere sana ko bati batufunye mupawa tebuferi awa abantu abengi bali royeshe sana pali katalizi mu Yesu yakisatureterera so pali ino istandero mbako leadership irange kumba kuru bali lwa bakada kyambyo kumoneka okutira chikwera na bena bali sumino kwe bati bali rufyenye tabakabe mu behavior imoine kwena opomperere.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, please call if you want to be heard. Quickly call. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. Anonymous. I'm very happy with the presentation by the acting president of the PF, and he has instilled, I think he has given us an assurance, though my worry is still on the mobilization of the PF members countrywide, because currently people, I think many of the people, they don't know which way to go. But this clear information that the President Lubinda said instills confidence in all of us. Nevertheless, I think we should ask him and his leadership on what programs they have in order to mobilize the general membership and those disappointed people by this government. You see, the election of 2026, like I said in other presentations, will just be between PF and UPND, plus disappointed the millions by the government of Zambia. They have not fulfilled promises, so there are so many. When you find 10 people, you find that only one is in support of the current government. The 9, they are disappointed. So you ask the President Lubinda to give us an assurance of how they are going to mobilize the people up to 2026. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's take some more call. You have something to say? This is your program. We're hosting Honorable. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba. This is the Anonymous calling you from Lusaka, Zambia.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you very much. You know how things have become in our country.
That is okay.
First and foremost, we want to continue commending you for your resilience and steadfastness. We continue praying for you to ensure that you continue with the good work that you are doing. Firstly, allow me, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, to thank Honorable Given Lubinda for the excellent and exceptional leadership that he has shown throughout this whole period. The man is very stable and he has provided guidance, and he has proven that even in a crisis, there must be leadership. Honorable Given Lubinda, thank you very much. We are observing the work that you are doing. Now, secondly, let me say that the circumstances in which our sixth president, Edgar Lungu, died are not in any different in the circumstances in which Madam Idris Nawakwi died. Madam Idris Nawakwi equally was denied access to go and get medicine somewhere, knowing fully well that this lady is sick, and the lady had even to put it on record for the entire world to know that she is sick. But this government continued denying her treatment and locking her up in cells, knowing that this person is on drugs that would extend the life. So I don't know what it is and what you expect when somebody is supposed to go for treatment, you deny them treatment. Now, in conclusion, we would appeal to this government to say, please, let us please, that family has suffered enough, President Daga in the Ijrem. That family has suffered. And you see, there's no person who has suffered beyond, like that. You can simply imagine the trauma, the trauma that woman is going through. So please, we're asking to say, please, this is like what happened on the funeral of Edith Nawakwi. I was shocked that he came and imposed himself as the chief mourner there. I think this is what we are trying to avoid in this case. There is no way a person suspected to be the cause of someone can come and claim to be a chief mourner on a funeral. So, Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba, I just thought that I shouldn't be left out on this fantastic program where you featured President Given Lubinda. I've been observing his leadership. It's very exceptional and very excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's hear you as we begin to wind up. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Caller, tell us where you're calling us from.
This is Mwewa from Livingston.
Yes, Mwewa.
Yeah, Ambassador, I was maybe for about two to 3 minutes. I would want to touch first on the issue of the Tonse. I wanted to ask Mr. Lubinda on the issues with the to do with Mr. Lubinda is a rainbow according to his skin, but there are some fears that maybe his parents might not be Zambians according to the cross, which is in our constitution that both parents must be Zambians. So that one would want also to get a clarity on it.
Okay,
and
thank
you. The other thing is that how do we bring PF to the ballot next year? Because what I've seen in the Tonse Alliance is that the other members are taking advantage that PF doesn't have a party, so they should be treated according to how they want to be treated, because those are their political parties. Now, this indicator that we've gotten from Honorable Sean Tembo, the president of PEP, is an indicator of what we might face next year. If PF doesn't bring itself to the ballot, official PF, not any other party, even if we are going to have other Tonse Alliance members, we should have the ownership of the PF. Now, how do we bring PF to the ballot next year? That's the question I'm posing to Mr. Given Lubinda.
Thank you very much.
Then the other thing is, Ambassador, I would want to talk a bit about Mr. Lubinda, Honorable Lubinda. Honorable Lubinda, according to what he said earlier, he said that he wanted to retire somewhere in 2019. But after we lost power in 2021, 2 weeks later, President Lungu had to plead to him so that he can take up the mantle. And I remember very well, during the 2021 convention, we had about, not the convention, those who applied to be presidents, there were 8. And out of those 8, Mr. Lubinda wasn't there, which also shows that he is a man who's also not power hungry. Now, like I said earlier, on the confusion, what's the way forward, especially in relation to people like, I'll mention their names, people like Mr. Munduvire. Mr. Munduvire is appearing on those 8 who wanted to contest as the presidential candidate for the PF. But what we have seen is that Mr. Sean Tembo endorsed Mr. Munduvire publicly on OTFM. And when you look at the language that was coming from Mr. Sean Tembo, he actually looked at he actually said that we don't want hijackers to, such statements. So I would also want to get to Mr. Munduvire and appeal to him to say, the battle we are fighting here is a greater battle. It's about the future of this country. Like the way Donosco, Mr. Donosco said, that priest, it's a serious battle. So any selfish interests must be off. So
thank you very much. My brother, good evening, and tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Anonymous from the land of AI. I just have a couple of comments that I would like to make. The lady that called after Father Mpombo, Ambassador, I think she should also go and advise the UPND leader, Hakainde Hichilema, and reprimand him on his tribal leadership, the same way she called out Father Mpombo on the way he makes appointments, the way that HH makes appointments on tribal and regional lines. You see, I think tribalism remains a political tool that UPND has been using since Mapatizia 2006. This party has used tribalism so shamelessly, and then they turn around and pretend to be victims. Okay? The general public in Zambia are not tribal. So a politician, especially by UPND, by Cheme. Secondly, and very briefly, on the opposition, I think there is no option other than unity when it comes to 2026. Any political party or movement that will go on it alone, they will be doing so as a betrayal to the country. So I would like to call on all the political parties and all the movements that are mushrooming to check themselves, not to betray the nation, but to unite. Because I think that call has been made very clear. And I doubt that it will die out to just become louder. And anybody who will attempt to try and be a hero and stand on their own, will assume that they've been paid by UPND to divide the votes. That was my contribution, Ambassador Mwamba. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. This is Gabriel Kiwombo, member of the Central Committee for the Patriotic Front.
Oh, yes, my dear brother.
Yes, Ambassador, I want to address two things. I think most of it have been well explained by our able acting president. But I want to touch on two things. One is the matter that is sensitive, but we should not shy away from. This is a matter of issues of tribe and tribalism and tribal politics. I'm touching on it because I personally, from the onset, want to say that the blame for this tribal division in the country lies squarely on President Hakainde Hichilema as well as the UPND government. You see, under the Patriotic Front, we had a Ministry of Religious Affairs, and we had a Ministry of Traditional Affairs. These ministries were very, very important, very critical, because when you want to deal with issues of division, hate, tribalism, hate speech, all those things, these things are supposed to be dealt with at institutional level. You cannot solve a problem, a matter that requires love and peace. You cannot solve it by punitive measures. You cannot enact a law where you say you will go to jail or you will be punished for something that anybody can argue. It's a matter of perception. So by today, Ambassador Mwamba, and I know you like to be very factual and academic, today, if we had to create a hypothesis and if we had to ascertain the documents that are before the courts and before the police, I can assure you that 99% there will be a bias regarding which region, which tribe is reporting the other. So that clearly shows that you cannot use a law to solve such a problem. What you need is to take an approach where you pursue love, you pursue bringing people together. And how do you bring people together? You ride on the church, you ride on the traditional leaders. And on that regard, President Hakainde Hichilema failed us. Because for the UPND, everything for them has to be punishment. People want to speak, you enact the Cyber Security Act law, and you gag them, and you punish them. People want to address real issues around division, again, you want to punish them. You cannot govern a country by threats. People must be allowed to speak. People must be allowed to express themselves. This is what entails democracy. Then the second thing that I wanted to address is a matter that my colleague who just talked about, the issue of Tonse Alliance. To be honest, as a member of the Central Committee, I'm not at all impressed with the attitude of President Shontembo. And this I can say in my personal capacity. I'm not impressed because as a spokesperson, your job of a spokesperson is to go and announce to the people the deliberations of the meeting that was held. But how many times have you seen Shontembo go out there and address the press, hold the press conference, press release, based on what? Who gave you those resolutions that you're communicating? That is gross indiscipline. And there is no way Sean Tembo can, on one hand, say he acknowledges that the chairmanship of Tonse should be coming from the Patriotic Front, but he wants the members of the Tonse to choose a leader who should represent the Patriotic Front. What if Ambassador Mwamba, they pick me to be the Tonse Alliance leader or chairman? Or if they pick you, what relationship are we going to have with the acting president? What relationship am I going to have with the with our substantive secretary general? Who will be answering to who? That confusion that he's trying to bring is deliberate. And no Zambian who wants to see a united opposition can ride on what Sean Tembo is doing. So, honestly, I think these two matters, I know the rest the president has dealt with them, but these two matters I thought I should bring them to the public attention and express my dissatisfaction. One, the disappointment that President Hakainde Hichilema is trying to use punitive measures to promote love. That can never work. That equation does not exist. Number two, that Sean Tembo is trying to prescribe to the Anchor Party on who the Anchor Party should recommend to lead the Tonse Alliance. That is again an equation that can never work. So these two matters, I thought I should put them on the table, Ambassador Mwamba.
MCC, I'm very grateful. Thank you for the support. Thank you very much. And thank you for putting those matters clearly. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Kelvin, please make your contributions.
So in the contribution and for your Kuranda, and for your Ichakuadida Pondifo, Kutasha Mwamba, program Martin de Kakoina, Shiralana to which now Shikunish to the ones. So each one before you Kuranda Shakova team. I want to wear Suba UPN, why some Bantu, why Safie Muisakamanawe, Kosha. Echalenga sasanga chali tupapusha kubeni kwebaikala kumishi mwalasango kwebati nangu babo mfino chitobo tulepokelera atonga beka balesa mkuwa ebaleba ama bosses mu masukuru ema head teachers banani icho chirepiwa fichire bitafya pa utatupu kwebati abo bantu tabasa kama na bena zambe basa kama na kupati ya wira ine bafumo echo ndiko yokweba ndiko yokwesho kuranda kuri alliance ya PF okutira bekatani chapama bekesa tuliperisha mukurekeresherwa kese mupaturuka ififi ne baletira bonse nga bayisa bagize Lubinda bayisa banani bayisa mwabika pamito kana bena
bana mule landileni mufoni iyo mwachiwa kutarisana na foni landeni.
Okay, so nachala ndo kwebati idende fwa fyo koseresha alliance yesu
ifyo twachumfwa so ndweleleni
okutira tube chapamo ero bekesa kusana mukurekeresha bakutira no wakukonka kabure so ndekoseresha bonzo okutira okwina kwikatana eko batwalire ero twakula twalire okunikonka bakula ishwira pona fimbi kustura ishwira pona fimbi nefyo tushaishi natotera bamomba wesu.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The calls are so many, but we may have to close. Yes, my brother. Hello, you are live. Please tell us where you're calling us from. Yes. Wangu.
Urawa kuchipata bale bomfya abantu beso nomba kama mona pattern umuntu wesu balamu bomfya ala leta confusion and then later on ulo yesu ngatana nkani ndabamu bomfya kumusonda no kumutwala kujeri mule file chika kuri abapusana mule ni file kubapusana now, but after Baba Bomfia, I can even see Chabingo Kujeri. I'm not a prophet, but I can see that daughter.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you quickly. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, I'm going to remain anonymous if that's all right.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for bringing Honorable Given Lubinda, and I like the fact that he did not focus on tribalism, because I think it's one of the tools that the current regime is going to use, because they've failed so horribly. They want to bring tribalism, the word, as the main one that is being spoken of by Zambian, the one that's dominant in the press and is dominant everywhere, and we can't focus on the issues where they're failing. So I'd like to remind Zambians that this is a president who hasn't declared his wealth, as far as I know, and reasons why we don't know. He hasn't moved into State House. Reasons why, we have no idea. And also I'd like us to ask ourselves questions. Are we better off since the UPND came into government? Cost of living, are you happier? You know, is it cheaper to survive? I mean, electricity, do you feel things have improved? Are things working? For those who had businesses, they've lost them because there's no electricity. Are you better off? So perhaps these are questions that we ought to ask ourselves. And then also, do you feel safe? Do you feel free? Can you speak freely without being afraid that someone is going to nab you or they'll get rid of you? So these are questions that you ask yourselves daily. And then when the election comes, make sure you vote wisely. And another thing I was very disappointed is the taking of the widow to court, Mrs. Lungu. And then it makes me wonder, why wouldn't they wait for the court proceedings? Because they took this to court in the first place, and then they're sending letters in wanting to view the body. That is really, really disappointing. And then there's so many things that are disappointing for me for this president. The deaths in Fumbwe, he just sounds like really cold. There was no warmth, there was no condolences as far as I know. That was very disappointing. So is this what we think we can do? Is this the best that we can do as Zambians? So let's ask ourselves those questions, and then also make sure that when we're voting, we have that in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling you from Zambezi district.
Make your contribution.
Yes, this is Mr. Sunday Garapelo from Zambezi district. Yeah, it is very sad for what is happening here in Zambia, and for the first time, I think, in southern region, for what is happening here in Zambia. Because there's nowhere whereby the head of state, the former head of state, issues up to date. People are still fighting. Politicians, you politicians, I don't know, because even myself, it is very difficult to join politics. Because mother body, they've tried by all means so that the government and the family can sit down and solve the issues. Because the person who is there was once a president for this nation. So the people for Zambia, they would love to send off dignity to the former head of state. But now politics and the family members, they've destroyed the whole process. So we are very much embarrassed. I think even the outside countries, the way they are observing what is happening here, I don't think if our head of state has family members who can handle these issues. Because myself, if I was the uncle, the son, the grandchild to the former head of state, I think I would have not tolerated this what is happening now.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. You made your point very clear. Let me take the last few calls. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling you from US.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Mamba, I just want to say something that I'm seeing which is happening in our country. We have seen how the former first family, how they have been suffering in South Africa. And we could see the president is not even concerned with what he's doing. Another thing, Mr. Mwamba, which we are concerned about the Mufumbe issue. The president has been dragging to saying you killed Sibulo every time. We have asked the president to tell us how many people died. And we are asking the president to give us all the names of the people who died in Mufumbe. We haven't heard anything from UPND. They are quiet up to now. Another thing that I've observed, Ambassador Mwanda, it is like our president enjoyed to do the body viewing. When you see this funeral which was there, he enjoys to see the body. It is like it's part of him. That's why you can see he's crying for the body of our former president. It is like he enjoys to see the bodies of the people who have died. So to that, there must be something that is behind why he always wants to be on top of everything. Even the speech that he was speaking in the church, you can be able to see that he had nothing to offer the people who are mourning. He just wanted people to know that he's there, Mr. Mwamba. Is this how we will be living? If you don't have what to say, it's better you keep quiet, you leave it to other people to talk. Mr. Mwamba, I want also to thank our president, Mr. Lubinda. He's there to lead the party. And you can see, even when he's talking, we can be able to say he's there to deliver for Zambian people. If we are saying Mr. Lubinda can be our president, our candidate, we know to say he can deliver. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba.
Thank you very much. Just a minute. I take this call. I'll take the last 3 calls and then we can wind up. Thank you, great callers. Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Mkwaiba Zambia landeni po.
Mkwai. Bamwamba najafanda ndo kwa imwabombe.
Endita.
Najafana inokulanda gofye pera shaba faba mpombo. Bafya shibaria bachiranda 15 turu. Chimo kwati wali kwatabana. Wose mwali kwata company. No munobe na wali kwata company. Nabana. Pero then iwe abana bobe. Yonse ne Paulo kwata company ngale bofya abana bobe. Tashe pirwa tinsin tribe. Iwo nombo mukashwala sakamna. Nishinshina chitakubana. Efi achiralo shamba mpombo. Because if for bantu turatu kosa cha PF lingyala tufika ko muri wafi. Then umuntu mbuli muri amunyinero wala mugushisha mukutushisha. Mama, kai hope nga pafuma wapala okwa abantu bakwata. So, never ningalanda kwa twera kutukira kukonde masano kubula mufe point ile mfika kwa chilimbire kusupporta yara kurenga ube Peter. That's why tukura bafe Peter lyo sefe tukura babakalipa chira kushiku. Nokura bafe fino lefo takireti story. Alaba sister bachiranda bachafu kutakireti ama stories aya bufi. Bas bafada bachafe straight. Tabachibika kwa taipo maki ayo ababa babi na kuba umutundu ubyuya abachira complain pavana babo. Bakuchiko tiyori kuside ubero bare kumwene shamo bali abantu ba. So chimbezo ninganda bakobati bambi tufire twaikatana again muri yine tureye. Support aba leaders aba beyitemwa. Ngefe achanda bafada boze future na mutima yeso future tontonkai. So bena bekatane. Don't you mark a shower and go by Utascaro titaba bari 10. Epo Jesus Casa go te few, monobanga wa 10. Mwana quiz. Tapari shmala pera rawide, we no mre that Goliath, eu capita we. Chap.
Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Honorable Mamba.
Good evening, my dear brother.
It's me, Robin from Manchester. I think
yes, Robin.
The call that I just had, I think, is just clarified what I wanted to say. I think the issue, I think, at the moment is when you have an issue, and you have to remember, Wampombo he was talking about his people. He wasn't talking about a different tribe. So with him the question was, why are my people behaving a certain way? And that's the right way of thinking. Instead of him just ignoring the issue. And like what the previous caller said is, I know our father said a lot of things, but his way of thinking, I know we've had this conversation, is to understand. If you've got an issue, for instance, an issue of racism in a town, you will have to accept that it's an issue. And that's how you find the solution. And even for him, as a Bemba man, he was just trying to figure out exactly why are these people behaving the way they are behaving? Are they putting the interest of the country first, or is there something that we're missing? Because we have to know numbers do not lie. Even when you look at the number of people that are being prosecuted or being harassed in the country, when you look at that list, which probably we could go through it tomorrow on your show, you'll be surprised in terms of the people that are there. So I think people will just come and defend. I think they need to probably rewatch the clip again and see where the father was coming from.
No, I think caller, you are very right. Father Pombo is a regular caller on this one, and those that haven't heard him today, those that have listened to him, he is very clear on condemnation of tribalism. His choice of words could have been poor. I love his anger. But he's a regular caller here. If you have heard him, he's very consistent on condemning tribalism. Maybe his choice of words today were poor, and he will likely be misunderstood. But for regular callers who are on this show, they know him and Professor Kasonso are very clear on the condemnation of tribalism, that it shouldn't be in our country.
And just to add on that, he's helped a lot of people in Europe, especially in Italy, when it comes to the issue of racism and to integration. So he has no ounce of tribalism or racism in him. I think the issue for him was just the issue of where, when you look at what is happening, and then he's probably asking himself questions, thinking, why am I a people? Not like the Zambians, but what's going on with this trend of what is it that I'm missing? You know, so it's not like he was attacking any tribe or anything. I understand this topic can be taken in different direction, but I think people need to, listen and come.
No, it will need time. We may need time and bring experts and we discuss it in a sober manner. Yeah. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
From Chipata.
Yes, please speak up and tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, so my name is Gift from Chipata.
Yes, Gift, make your contributions quickly.
Yes, so when Lubinda was on this platform, talking about all sorts of things. So for me, I think, you see, Mwamba and your colleagues, the Patriotic Front has been in the political space for many years. From 2001, I think, when Michael Sata became the president of the party, when it was founded, somewhere there, but I may not be right. But look, you guys were in opposition for a period of 10 years. Michael Sata carefully set out a good plan for this country. He ran his race, he became president in 2011. We had Ed Kalong 7 years. To be honest, I strongly believe that you guys have gone into political extinction. Because when I look at the nature of your criticism, the manner in which you criticize, and my humble appeal, Ambassador Mwamba, is that you should not cut me on this platform. So that if it's having an intellectual discourse, let's have it on this platform, on your platform. I'm not going to disrespect anyone, but I'm just going to be very, very objective.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Honorable Lubinda.
Thank you.
Mkwai kwakaputa kuno mkwai ushabalengo mfwa
Endita bakaputa landeni po mkwai.
Mkwai ndefuna okubika pofe paro chilanda wa father pombo ku Italy. You know, I think maybe ileshita twa kwa chilepo ichililo cha tampile cha wakateka walungu. Twalilandile fintu twali fishi pya chitike pantu imitima yalinda wike sana. Inena alilandile pokutila. Ima mwewe na Zambia. Wene muloleke shini mwewe aba co-opposition. Kwebati. Ba president hakainde. Pakuchite chintu icha alubana kuli PF, the largest opposition party. Na pia na reference. Na tubushe. Aba afumile na ama election na ama votes aye. Ama seats aye. Ngikoni ba nani like PF in the history of ama parties aye alusa. Like UNIP. MMD na PF apa ya lusa PF ya kwatile pwayenge elo nalanda nati PF baisa ichita hijack ba hakainde ba bumfeshe Mao Sampa na Chavinga aba northern na eastern. So what Mpombo is ba father Pombo is saying we bantu bakwale sabe na Zambia konsoko muli ba Pombo ba father Pombo na ine ulelanda pano tatulelanda pa mitundu tatule patulula tulelanda fe mutsungu ife balanda tiko spade since na tumana ti ba president akainde pako naula opposition ikulupo babu mfeshe umuntu wa Eastern Zambia no wa Northern Zambia na pakutibona ule political reputation yaba president Lungu babu mfeshe bachishimba kambwiri aba Northern province so fish twala fili rokulumbule fifintu so that uyonso of Northern province na Eastern na kumbi belamu itamku mpela ama fisakanwa pako naula or any opposition party na nguchili chonse chalo ndroka for the state. So tatule lumbwila imitundu I am a provinces nangu imitundu yafuma ko pantu natu batemu natu tafo kuitarusha kuli ababambi awe mwene niba honorable mwetwa bali fuma pa uta pano pa YouTube balandu kwebati we used Kambuili to make the whole country hate the President Lungu. Bamu wonfya chishimba kambwiri bamu wonfya Mao Sampa bali paino ino nshita bali wonfya Chavinga so ba father Pombo ife balelanda na ine wine fna fikwete fna fitontonka nati oh my god chishi twala bela used umsango chishi uyu mutundu no uyu mutundu kashi mkwaita tulelanda tutaluke kumitundu yimbi abantu bonse abaliko abasambirire school abakaunda up to even ba president Lubinda ba president hakainde lelo line bonse mwebasambirire ko free education yabakaunda you are more understanding that tribalism takwali in the kaunda through into UPN MMD PF chato toboka sana eririne kwali bepinda lya kuchalo kumbi ilio balanda ati why are eggs breaking in your hands bonse wale perisha nyama ntali itobeka imitundu 72 has been carried along by President KK Kiluba Rupia Banda Levi Wanawasa vambini banani ba Rupia Banda na ba bonse balungu iyo ine akainde wafika pwelelo icha mutundu chakosa muchibemba bala kuipusha muchibemba every language has a proverb muchibemba bala kuipusha chakosa shani paliwe ni wowe ine kanshi bantu ubufuide ubushikufuide omkote ichimbwinga cha nyemfui it means it's the hyena that has killed and swallowed eaten rather the old man and that's how come in the stew of the hyena there is gray hair. I hope much to understand. Chilubo chawo bakainde so nga twabasonta pukati chilubo tatubapatire kubatemwa twabatemwa but nomba tatwaikalire mukupatulwe fupantu nga twasambirire nokufyaba nshite hakwa kaunda to now it means twalichita intermarry twalikwata abeshikulu beso abatongana abalozi nfabo bana kunchimunya so ulenta mfishashani pa utonga nindebo bana gululiswani so I've got a lozy son who has married a lozy woman and we have a lozy name in the family We are one Zambia, one nation. So you might want some matching between now to promote tribalism. No. You see, so to bring it down, you really have to be brave. Muchivemba ati bushenga tuwalanda ponish tuwakasa ingoma amafi. They are saying, is it wrong to point at such an ugly mistake? It's not. You just have to be brave and say it chilubo. Mkwaina totela ba ambassador twalile nkwe emirimu.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Wamwamba, what happened today?
Yes, my brother.
Take my call. I've been trying the whole day.
Already, I have 560 missed calls just on one phone. So please make your contribution.
Now, before I start addressing let me address Vampom. Now, Yom Kashano. Vampombo was right. Okay? He was sounding a warning. The tactics of UPND is divide and rule. And he was telling us that we have to be careful. They are using one side to attack the PF in particular. Okay? And the pattern is not a coincidence. Bamwamba, this goes to you as well. If anyone comes with a sack or a bag of money and you flip on us, we will come after you. Okay? This is not time to play political games. The country is on fire. We have to be serious. Okay? So that woman was trying to be cute. We can see through her. What she was trying to say is nonsense. Okay? Now, Lubinda, he needs to give us a signal. Okay? What we need now is a transitional figure. He's in South Africa. I am in South Africa. We had Mandela here. Lubinda, here we see him as a transitional figure. Okay? Lubinda can take us up to 2030, and then you people can start playing politics. We need to put our politics in order. Okay? And I cannot see any other person Ngaba Lubinda. So, please, if you speak to him, I'm gonna rally people here. We have to have Lubinda there to steady the ship and take us to 2030, and then you people can start your politics. Thank you.
Thank you. Last two calls, the lucky two calls. Who will be the last two callers? Who will be the last two callers? Who will be the last two callers? I see there are so many missed calls. Wakola mwabombeni. Busheni ba mabo aba.
Mkwai ambassador Nikwe.
Mkwai ba mabo, please landen poni momwala sondoelela.
Ikafine.
Mkwai momkweta maka yakusondoelela lelo.
It's an honor. Ambassador, Chinese very got saying at scientific in the bench and good health is the capital of revolution. Nali mona mailo got mwadi wuka kachero mwadi fe almost the whole day. Ushe muletu usha mulifena buino.
Yata tuletusha bane fina pano no alala ko 1 hour 2 hours, but I am putting attention to my health, of course, because the program is in its formative time. I have to get a co-anchor, and the time differences between Zambia and South Africa is not really helping. But there are things that need to be done for our country for now.
Exactly, Ambassador, please take care of yourself. You know, we don't want to be losing pundits and people who, you know? I will take care of yourself, Ambassador. We are very proud of you. Then, yeah,
ndipo afyokulanda kuona abantu nga bali mufokutila ba Father Pombo is a member of my community and is really a good man. Just as I'm a Catholic priests we have there in most of them are in Rome. They are from all over Zambia, from different tribes. And Ambassador inena ria kuluapula na Zambia. I decided to take a public bus from sentiments from bus from Makumansa to go Kabwe. There was a gentleman in his 60s. He was telling Chalumbre Ministry Babumbako is a civil servant. A permanent secretary Mwana Kashumutonga. Then this man was complaining to me, Kutila. You know, this lady was telling me, Kutila, we will be using useful idiots among us you to advance our interests. If everybody enjoy you know. So that if you Kulanda Kuli Fisha Chilalanda Father Pombo Kutila, maybe among tribal sentiments, we should be honest with ourselves as Amazambians. It's something very, very strong amongst ourselves, and on the ground, people say it brutally. It's our time, and then we will use some useful idiots among us too to advance our cause. This is something I was experiencing. So I hope Abantu they don't misunderstand Father Pombo na Elia. Emotional, you know, since it's emotional. It's these same priests there in Italy. You know, sometimes because commissioning of oaths, there are instances when community members of Zambians they need a commission of oaths, and you know you can't pay a lawyer. Maybe it's the priests like Father Pombo come and stand in for our people. They do a lot of work, and I hope that Father Pombo is not misunderstood by the.
You know his contributions have Mkwayo Mabo, as president of Zambians in Italy, I was saying Father Pombo is a regular caller. He's a regular caller. Father Pombo is a regular caller to our program. He's a regular caller to our program. And we know his thoughts. He's very, very clear. He condemns tribalism. He condemns racism. And he usually gives an example of himself where sometimes children have come up to him, walked up to him, and, you know, called him names like monkey, like he said in the program. So he condemns tribalism. He condemns racism. It's very clear. Today, the choice of words he used, it is easier to misunderstand him, especially for people that don't know him. And I have called that the matter of tribalism is so serious in our country and so sensitive that unfortunately we have to address that open wound. But it requires time. You can't address it in a sound bite like this. It requires some experts. They open, they lay the ground so that people see that we are not malicious and that we are not using this platform to promote or enhance tribal and tribal talk. We have to do it in a manner that is responsible, but it is a cancer eating our country away.
Actually, it's a last year ambassador and if you know what's the embarrassment we're going through as a nation. I think we should get back to the basics. Who has carried Umupashwaba Kaunda? Who has carried Umupashwaba Chu? Who has carried Umupashwaba Monawasa? Umupashwaba Rupia Banda? Umupashwaba Sata? Umupashwaba Lungu? These are men, dignified men who contributed to this nation. Not a fluke, not a opportunists. Who has carried Mipashiaba Bantu? I hope Uktila, Abena Zambia we.
Oh, the phone is dead. The battery is flat for one good reason. It's time to end the program. Na phone na yo yala pila yaba flat. Mwabantu wa Kwalisa, thank you very much for your contributions, for the many comments and the many missed calls. We are hosting Honorable Given Lubinda, acting president of the Patriotic Front and acting chairperson of the Tonse Alliance on state of the country, state of the political party, and the role of the opposition in in defeating the UPND in 2026. So God bless you. God bless our country. We'll see you tomorrow.
Papa avait Benobi ma caméra.
Into court. Now we've heard from the judges. They listened to the submissions and they have told us either tomorrow at the latest of. So let us go back to our homes and let us be united. You shall be informed if the judgment is tomorrow. We'll ask you to come and listen to the judgment. One Zambia, one nation. I want to thank the leadership of the PF in South Africa and to thank all of you Zambians in South Africa. And don't worry about those who are hired to come and make noise up home. For you are doing this because of the love that you have. Please go back to your homes peacefully and let us meet again when we're going to receive the judgment. I also want to thank our brothers and sisters, the South Africans who are supporting us. There are many of our brothers and sisters, South Africans who have come to join us. There are many other Africans who have come to join us. Congolese are also here. Thank you, Malawians. Thank you. Thank you, all Africans who are here. Thank you. Let's remain united. One Zambia, one nation. One Africa, one nation. One Africa.
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyotwa kula kwibukisha Anate pochimo Wimbo watemenwa katongi Abazunga batita katongi Nakula kwibukisha kateka Naibukubuna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Iyaba ume Iyaba ume Kateka wabantu Twakulila lelo twakulila Shika kukonke milimo shove Ale filamba Fiena minta pengo shile Eti kume mo pulondolo la vale Lilo wingi
Iseko wingi mwakwete Isaso wingi mwakwete Mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
Katushi muchi wakege Wali bomba kale Kamba mwatuja tuleli lake Mupanga chiba
Penda Mupanga mwine Oya mwine Ide lalila
Yangu ya mama Ala nacho mwabye Mama Ukula befyo wati dobuingi Ibisebo wapagiri obuingi Ukuchinjo lusako kumoneko busaka Mama Utituwa na basiani Chakwa katusa